I do hope you can see me today from where you are.
Ich bin ein Willi.
If I'm generally anything, I guess I'm generally miserable.
This modern world of science and invention is of particular interest to women.
The people, I would say, there is no patent. Would you patent the sun?
I regard myself as a soldier, though a soldier of peace.
Welcome to the Biographers.
It was like in a year or something like that of them launching. They got picked up on the new and noteworthy on Apple, and then they quit their jobs like a couple weeks later.
So like pretty fast, they were able to quit their jobs. You said something about those podcasters and how they were being asked to do like speaking engagements and stuff. Now, it's funny. I'm happy to talk in general. I get really anxious when I have to give a speech. I can train a room of 100 people on software.
Yeah.
If I know the software. But when I have to give a speech, I'm like, ugh. So you said that and I was like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't be A, able to do it because I'd be so stage frighty, and B, qualified because I don't know. I mean, I'm learning all this stuff about these subjects as we read. Like, I know a lot more about Queen Victoria than I did a couple months ago, but I wouldn't call myself like a Queen Victoria historian or something like that.
Sure.
The reason I'm saying this is I was reading an article this morning in preparation for this episode. It was written like 3 or 4 years ago. I won't say which publication it was. It was an online publication. And they were misquoting stuff that I'd read in my book. So like a quote about when Victoria was rather more of a pocket Hercules than a pocket Venus.
Mm-hmm.
The person who wrote the article said that her mother had said that, but I'm fairly certain it wasn't. I didn't go back and look at it, but that was wrong. And then there was just some other stuff, and it was like they had taken true facts, but then made assumptions about it. Kind of the way that you and I comment a little bit, but they wrote it in writing, and it wasn't commentary. They were like saying it as though it were fact. And I was like, because one of my biggest fears on this podcast is that I'm going to say something inaccurate.
You are, though. That's
I know
the
I'm
thing.
saying something inaccurate unintentionally,
yes,
but someone's going to get real bent out of shape about it. And, you know, because you know me, I'm a perfectionist and I like for people to be happy with me.
Well, you know, for every person that's out there listening who gets really upset about somebody making a mistake on something like a history fact, you're going to have to find a different podcast.
Yeah. I mean,
we try
we're
really
doing our
hard
best.
to be accurate, but I mean, come on, new information comes to light, and then we go,
True.
oh, hey, that event didn't happen at all the way we thought it happened.
Or
so
you
I don't know,
read
I'm just
it
saying.
and you, I don't know, there's a typo, like I inverted the, the fourth and the sixth.
Yeah.
And it's like, that was a mild mistake, and we rectified it and printed a retraction or a correction, as so to speak. But, I'm like worried. I wouldn't ever want to or at any time in the near future, carry myself as an expert on any of these subjects. However, I was my mother-in-law, I was just on this trip on the East Coast, and my mother-in-law was asking about stuff about Victoria, and she said something that was maybe like, I don't even remember what it was, but it was like what you'd maybe commonly think. And I was like, well, actually, blah, 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 blah. And then I was like, blah, blah, blahing for like 5 minutes. And I was like, wait a second, I do know some things now.
I know. I feel so slightly bad about Mabel in that my parent-in-laws, my mother and father-in-law, my parent-in-laws, whom I love dearly and who do listen to this podcast, they will probably hear me say this. I feel a little bit bad because they love Taos so much, right? And they spent so much time down in Taos. It's like their second home. Mm-hmm. And I feel like in many ways, Mabel has become one of their favorite little mascots, you know? And I've found now that there's not a lot of, oh, did you know this? That they can tell me about Mabel, that I'm not like, yeah, well, and actually, did you know that when that happened, and then I'll expand for 5 minutes on the thing that they just told me about, and then I'll go, dang it, man, you should just go, that's lovely, thank you.
I mean, that actually reminds me of in the last episode when Charles Dickens was saying, wasn't it Charles Dickens? He was like,
about the fair?
Yeah, about the fair. And he was like, if I say that I don't know anything about it, I just say that I do so that they don't elaborate. I'm over it.
I don't mean it in that way. I more mean it in that it's like, I feel like I am disappointing them because they can't tell me these awesome
can't be the
facts anymore.
experts in-
Yeah, and I'm like, dang, maybe I ruined that. So I
Maybe
feel
that's
bad.
just maybe an opportunity to practice a little self-restraint.
Exactly, and that's kind of what I'm saying. It's just like learning to go, wow, that is interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And just like leaving it alone, you know?
Yeah, like, oh yeah. Well, I mean, okay, hold on. This is just making me think of something else. You know how as you as you get older or you know someone for longer, you hear their same stories over and over again?
Yeah.
Like, I love my husband, but sometimes he tells me the same story over and over again. And like, I see older couples who've been married for 30 years and they're like, you can see the husband telling the joke he's told 1,000 times and the wife rolling her eyes and everything. There's no point in correcting anybody. It's just
So-
sit back and love them.
I will say this. One of my favorite people is my sister-in-law's mother, Donna Knuth. If she ever listens, she can hear me say that.
Hi,
She's
Donna.
amazing. Donna's amazing. And one of the things that I love about Donna is that all of her kids and her husband, and I'm assuming she does this with her grandkids as well, is that exact thing, right? My brother was telling me about this, about how his brother-in-law, his wife's brother, Aaron, has told this. There's some story about him and his car. That's some, when he first got his car, and it's some dramatic story, right? My brother was like, dude, I have heard this story at least 3 times, at least, and I'm sure more at this point, and it's fine because it's a good story,
3 is nothing.
But he goes. I mean, and I'm sure by this point it's many more times than this. But he goes, because literally every time that Aaron goes to tell this story, Donna will sit there like this is the first time she's ever heard this. And every beat and then I had to grab the window and pull it down with my fingers. Donna will go,
Oh my gosh, I love
and
Donna.
she'll gasp because I personally believe that she gets it, man. That somebody's excited to tell you something, so be excited about the thing they're trying to tell you.
I feel like we need to do a live recording, like with people in an audience sometime, and we need
will.
Donna there.
Oh, dude.
Because she's going to make us feel real good.
But yeah, she does that. She's just a generally, good, sweet person. And that's one of my favorite things about her is that you could say the same story 4 times and every time she treats it like it's the first time. And she's the best audience,
Be like Donna.
Be like Donna, everybody. She's wonderful. We're back, man. I feel like it's been too long.
We are back. Welcome to the Biographers.
For anybody that doesn't know this, we don't record weekly or even technically bi-weekly. We try to get ahead of the game a little bit. So
We're a little behind right now.
Aubrey's been doing a bit of traveling on the East Coast.
I'm taking a hiatus from working, so I'm taking that opportunity to do some things that I may have not done when I was in a regular 9 to 5, haha, that's funny, 8 to 7 job. So I'm taking advantage of my hiatus, which is definitely impacting our production timeline, but I'm also trying to put a calendar together so that we have everything. We won't miss an episode date, folks. Don't fret.
And you're not trying to put a calendar together. You did.
I did. I know I
put a
did. I don't know why I
calendar
said I'm trying. I
together.
did put a calendar
and there's
together.
things marked there. Now, what I have to learn, though, is that things that are on our shared calendar to do like recording, now I have to add that to me and Kat's calendar because she didn't know until last night that we were recording today, and I was like, oh, it's on the Cat. No, it's not.
Well, we
it's
can
on
just
our
share it with
calendar.
Kat.
That's true.
And Aaron.
That's a good idea.
Because Aaron got an iPhone. Aaron got an iPhone.
Finally?
Yeah, he got
Oh
it
my
a couple months
gosh.
ago, and it's
Well
the
done,
best
Aaron.
thing ever.
No more green text.
No more green texts.
I honestly believe that Apple does that on purpose. They want you to have this soothing blue color contrasted by this harsh neon green that stings your eyeballs when you look at it and you go, what? Who doesn't have an iPhone? I really do believe that it's a psychological piece of warfare they're doing.
I mean, that's probably true. I mean, Apple definitely does things to be like, this is our stuff, and you need to be on the bandwagon with our stuff. And anything that's not our stuff is going to annoy you because we want you to want our stuff.
This is true. Speaking of wanting our stuff, Aubrey.
What?
You know what I'm about to say.
I don't.
Because I'm very excited about it.
What about our stuff?
We got our first sponsor, baby.
Oh, yeah, we got our first sponsor.
Got our first sponsor.
Do we have like a thing to say about our sponsor?
Well, truth be told, this is not going to be news to our audience because I put together a little mini 30-second ad that dropped at the beginning of the last episode.
Oh, okay.
So this is not news to them, but
this is like time travel, Daniel.
So for anybody that wants to know the sequence of events, we recorded the episode. I put it together, whatever. I do a little bit of light editing to try to take out some coughs and things like that. And then I throw it up onto our hosting site for it to be released in a week or two. And then it was literally earlier this week, I think on Wednesday or something like that, we finally got word back from the people that we were chatting to, which, by the way, is McQueen Pipes, based in Canada. They are a fine artisanal maker of smoking pipes. And that is all different types, by the way, for anybody that is curious. McQueen Pipes, MACQUEEN pipes.com. They've got all different types of stuff, and they're all inspired by the Lord of the Rings, dude.
Love it.
Smoking pipes inspired by the Lord of the Rings. So they're I don't know if you checked out the website super thoroughly, but their pipes are called like the Ranger and the Goblin and the Wizard, and the one that I have is called the Barrel Rider, and yes, it looks like a barrel, and it's awesome. And for anybody that's out there that is curious, if you're not into pipe tobacco, they do have attachments for vape, and they do have attachments for the marijuana, if that is the game that you like to play there.
Interesting. Legal in lots of states these days.
Lots of states these days. They sell these little accessories that make all this different stuff possible. So anyways, for anybody that is curious to purchase one of these lovely handmade smoking pipes from Canada, use the code BIOGRAPHERS at checkout, and you're going to get 15% off of your entire order.
Wow.
You are welcome, everybody. Again, that is McQueenPipes.com. Use the code BIOGRAPHERS at checkout, and you will get 15% off of your entire order. And again, big thank you to McQueen Pipes for being our very first sponsor. I'll be honest with you, I feel a little bit like Lightning McQueen in that I'm being sponsored by Rusty's, but the joke's on everybody because Rusty's is a great company. And that's a bad comparison, too, because if you see what these folks do up at McQueen Pipes, it's gorgeous. It is like really, really beautiful, wood-stemmed, all kinds of stuff. It's great.
You know, the holidays are coming. It might be a wonderful gift for someone in your life.
Just a sensational idea.
Even decoratively, to be honest.
No, truly, this is one of those things where, like, I'm trying to think of a good comparison of, like, something that somebody would buy even though they're not part of that hobby. You know what I mean? Maybe like a beautiful guitar, right? That you could put on the wall and somebody goes, "Oh, whoa, do you play?" And you go, "No, just look at that thing, man. It's a 1969, Stratocaster or something like that."
Yeah,
right?
just like someone who's got respect for the craft.
Exactly. Honestly, this company, McQueen Pipes, might just be up your alley because these things are absolutely gorgeous.
Yes, fabulous.
Are you looking at them right now?
Yeah, I was just pulling up the website for a mental visualization. We can put a link on the website too if it's not there already.
Oh yeah, totally.
I think I'm the webmaster.
You are the webmaster, so you can do that.
Where's the intern? Jeez. Well, they also kind of look like something that people would be smoking in the Victorian times, in my opinion.
No, I also think personally, maybe y'all in the audience can disagree, but if you see these pipes, it feels pretty on brand for what we do here at the Biographers, and that it's just like, I can imagine myself sitting on the porch listening to my own podcast, just having a lovely long smoke going. These guys are great. But I'm also very conceited, so.
You are not conceited.
I know, I'm just joking around. I don't think I'm conceited anyways.
I don't think you are either. I wouldn't be able to handle that. I'd be like, that guy.
It's true.
Well, shall we get started?
Yes, I'm excited. It has been too long. I've been longing to record again.
Yes, yes. Let's get started. So, where were we last time? Well, it had been the Great Exhibition.
Yes.
And it was a great success.
Great success.
Great success. It was the early 1950s. But of course...
I'm sorry, it was the 1950s?
1850s. Gosh, guys.
Boy, oh boy.
That's that brain noodle just not working very well.
I didn't realize Victoria was in the atomic age.
Well, she cryogenically froze herself. No, do not. No. It was the 1850s, the early 1850s. It seems like once things are finally going well, life will throw you a curveball. This time in the form of a war.
Uh-oh.
We haven't had a war yet, right? We had a threat of a war, a fear of a war, but not an actual war.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Well, this was the Crimean War, which started in October of 1853 and ended in February of 1856. Given her gender, Victoria was unable to hold a military position, and the book says that she longed to be a soldier.
Cool.
She wrote, "On such an occasion as war, one feels wretched at being a woman." You know, we talked about before, she was a little bit into the people.
Yeah.
And so I can see that where she'd be like, I want to get in there and do something. And we'll hear more about that as we keep
I
going.
also, I mean, I generally get the vibe from Victoria that I feel like a lot of the, let's say, traditionally ladylike, isms, whatever, that she was taught were probably not supernatural to her. I feel like she was probably, if she was not a royal, probably would have been outside playing in the mud with sticks and things like that.
She was definitely, like, she horseback rode. She went to, like, she went up to the Scottish Highlands. She'd be hiking.
She loved all the technology and stuff.
She loved learning about the technology at the Great Expedition.
Yeah.
She definitely was not like a prim and proper lady.
Right.
She was really outspoken, remember, in her youth. I mean, you're right. Like, she's definitely, I don't know that she would be like a tomboy necessarily, but she was definitely, aside from her traditional view that the man ought to be like the head of the household,
Sure.
she was a little bit unique in that respect, I guess you could say, about just being a little more into a lot of things that weren't traditionally feminine.
I would probably say that any dude that's like, I want to go into the army and I feel bad because I can't go and fight, is more of a tomboy boy than me.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't know. I have zero desire to do that kind of thing. So when I hear that from somebody like Victoria,
yeah.
pretty amazing.
Well, given all that, she did fret over the possibility of war. Like, this particular conflict was between Russia and Turkey. And at first she was like, why should we even get involved? This all started because Russian Tsar Nicholas I could see that the Ottoman Empire, which is modern-day Turkey, was weakening, and he wanted to increase the Russian Empire and also become the protectors of the minority 13 million Orthodox Christians that lived in predominantly Muslim Turkey. So 13 million Christians in Turkey, 22 million Muslims. So they were vastly outnumbered. The Christian Orthodox Russians also wanted to protect Christianity and the Christian shrines, say that 5 times fast, Christian shrines in Jerusalem and Palestine, and the Turks had control of those physical locations. Tsar Nicholas had asked the Turkish Sultan, okay, now I did a lot of how do you pronounce this? Because there were a lot of words in this podcast episode that were how do you pronounce this? So it looks like Abdul Majid, but it's Abdul Majid. It was Abdul Majid the First, and if I'm saying that wrong, particularly my friend Ziad, I think he would be like, Aubrey, come on. You Googled it and you still didn't do it right.
Hey, pronunciations are hard.
Anyway, he asked the Sultan for access to these locations, these specific holy locations, after some Christian monks who had been there were murdered.
Oh, whoa.
The Sultan refused. So Russia said, okay, we're going to occupy this area called Crimea, which is familiar today too, yes?
Rings a bell.
And the Sultan just said, well, okay, I'm declaring war on you now. So that was that. It was precarious, and then this little conflict kind of caused the war.
Now, quick question for you, and it's okay if you don't know the answer, but Tsar Nicholas I, was he with Catherine the Great?
I don't know. I did not look at that.
Okay, I
But
can't
I can
remember
Google it
I
if
can't
we
remember
want.
which one Catherine the Great was with, because I know that he died young, and that's what made Catherine the Great take over.
I can try and find the answer.
And we can also just find it for the next episode, and I could put it in the
Let's do
questions
that.
we asked for ourselves.
So you know how it is when you're researching these episodes, you find someone and then you're like, let me look this person up a little bit more. I didn't get into him, but I did get into someone interesting who's a little bit more you'll see why. I'll talk about it later. Yeah. So the time for my squirreling was not used on Tsar Nicholas I. It was used on other people.
Fair enough.
Anyway, so now Russia and Turkey are, the Ottoman Empire are at war. So this war caused some alarm for Britain. They had trade agreements with Turkey, and also if Russia gained control of the region, which included the Black Sea, routes to India could be compromised. And if you remember the East India Trading Company and the spices and all the things, this was really important that Britain didn't lose these trade routes.
Yeah.
Constantinople, not Istanbul. I had to say that.
I was waiting for it.
It was, quote, a geographically crucial region linking Europe and Asia by land and sea, where the Black Sea met the Mediterranean. In 1853, Russia moved troops south into the lower Danube, modern-day Romania, and the rest of Europe became a little bit nervous by this move. So, Russia's going down. Everybody in Europe is like, okay, a war is maybe going to happen. This is not good. So The French also joined this war, pretty much for revenge.
Interesting.
Louis Napoleon Bonaparte, who had actually been popularly elected but then later declared himself as the emperor. Yes, Emperor Napoleon III. He was the nephew of Napoleon that we all know. He wanted to help public opinion of France in Europe and get back at Russia because Russia defeated the original Napoleon in Russia in 1812. So he was like, okay, I'm getting in on this because I can save face for my ancestor. Victoria was concerned that a, quote, European war, because she's not Europe, she's Britain, and helping Turkey without having Turkey commit to anything in return was a bit risky. Current Prime Minister, I don't think we've talked about who the Prime Minister is in a while, was Lord Aberdeen. He told Victoria that he didn't want war at all. He was like against it in general. But she was kind of watching all of this unfold, and she was of the mindset the whole conflict wasn't going to just fizzle out. So she was like, let's go ahead and get started so it won't drag on. Like, rip off the war Band-Aid so that it could just move along. Britain told Russia, you need to evacuate the Danube area, like where they had occupied, and if you don't, we're gonna come for you. And so they didn't. So Britain said, okay, we're coming.
Okay, to go fight Russia.
Yes, so this was the spring of 1854. War started in 1853. It took about a year for Britain to get involved. So let's set the scene. It's February 28th, 1854, and the British troops were gathering to ship out to the Crimea. Excitement was in the air. War isn't great, but unity of one side against the enemy could not be ignored. So they're all like, together we will stand. The soldiers, which Victoria noted were unusually sober, shouted and cheered and yelled, God save the Queen. The British and French allies set out for Turkey. The first battle was the Battle of Alma, and it was September 20th, 1854. It was a disaster.
Uh-oh.
Afterward, dead animals were floating in the water. It was considered a victory for the Allies, but there were so many losses, and it showcased how inefficient and really, incompetent the military leadership was.
Oof.
It took 4 days to get the injured off the battlefield. People died of cholera before they could even be treated for their injuries. So they're like,
Jeez.
Leg is bleeding, and they can't get off the battlefield, and then they catch cholera and just die of that.
Jeez.
There were no bandages for the wounds. The locals were taking bed sheets and ripping them up and giving them to the soldiers.
Jeez.
There was an excerpt from a naval officer who described the scene, and this is really the only way to see what happened. You can have no idea of their sufferings. Men who had undergone amputation being carried down on men's shoulders in a distance of 6 miles. Yuck.
Jeez.
I never saw such a want of arrangement, saying it was disorganized. The military have made scarcely any arrangements. I met some officers who told me that until they got a little brandy and water from some naval officers, they had not put a single thing between their lips for 2 days.
Whoa.
And they had been 36 hours on the field without even seeing a medical officer. Numbers have, I feel confident, died from sheer want of attention. I visited the field, and the groans of the wounded went through me. So it's
Jeez.
Very
man.
unpleasant.
That's rough.
So reading of the mishandling of this situation, a woman that you might recognize by the name of Florence Nightingale decided to take matters into her own hands. It was October 1854, and she traveled to London to meet with Lord Palmerston, who was the British Foreign Secretary and a family friend of the Nightingales.
Wow.
She told him that she would go to Turkey with another nurse on her own dime. Now, I didn't know much about Florence Nightingale except for nursing. But at this point, she had studied nursing. She had defied her parents and not gotten married and gone to Germany or something and taken some courses in nursing. But it was all a new concept at this point. So she's going to go to Turkey with another nurse on her own dime, and she was granted authorization for her travel by the next day. She set sail a few days later, and by that time she'd gathered a total of 40 nurses to go.
Wow.
It was the beginning of a permanent change in the history of medicine, but she just didn't know it yet. Now, Victoria was anxiously awaiting news of the war. She was frustrated because the Times had been reporting on all of the ineptitude on the front lines. Soldiers dying of cholera, dysentery, diarrhea before they even went into battle. So they were just sick waiting. Jeez. She said it wasn't a smart idea to let Russia know in writing what missteps the military was making. And I do sort of agree a little bit with that, but also like just glossing over that it's happening is also not good.
Right.
And of course, the Times continued reporting the news despite all of Victoria's objections. She focused on something she really could influence, though, which was the welfare of the troops. She talked to the Prime Minister about the disorganization and negligence of the military and requested more troops, insisted that soldiers returning be honored with medals, and sought employment for disabled veterans, which I was like, wow, that's progressive. Like, we
insane.
barely do that now.
I know.
She even visited soldiers in hospitals, which is like the Queen of England going to see soldiers in. It's not a hospital today. It's a hospital in the 1850s.
It reminds me of like when Diana shook the hands of the AIDS
patients. Yes, but like also even gross, like grimy, terrible old dark hospitals too. Like
totally.
At least that was like fluorescent lighting. Right. I've seen those pictures
after antibiotics had been invented.
After antibiotics. Anyway. And they didn't have any bandages back in the Crimea, so I guess when they came back, they weren't looking so hot. Anyway, she referred to the soldiers as her beloved troops. She was really into the superlatives, like the beloved, the best, the wonderful. Yes,
the most wonderful.
Yes. She wrote prolifically in her journals, we know this, and in the year of 1854, she talked about war stories and the wounds of the soldiers she had met. So she's like writing about like, this guy didn't have a leg.
Jeez.
Victoria, she wished that she could visit the soldiers every day. She wrote messages to the troops on the front lines, which were motivational for them, and writing those messages helped lift her own spirits, because what she was seeing was just so ghastly, to quote the book. Officials reported to Victoria that the men were noble and uncomplaining. So all these men on the front lines were just noble and uncomplaining.
Jeez. At least in front of her.
Well, she wasn't there. So here, sadly...
Oh, it was reports coming back. Okay.
Sadly, the reports of stoic troops were fabrications from generals who didn't want to upset the queen.
There we go.
It was brutal, bloody, and bad. They continued to gloss over the details and told her, quote, "There is not one man in that army who would not gladly give his life to prove his devotion to your majesty."
Uh-huh. Sure.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, about Florence Nightingale, we went over. Are we coming back at all?
We're coming back to her.
Okay, cool.
A little bit. Yeah, we'll talk about her in a bit. So after the Battle of Alma came the Battle of Balaclava, and that was on October 25th. So
there was just a balaclava they were all fighting over?
No, I think it was a location. On October 25th, and so just like about a month later, in which 1/3 of the soldiers perished. The Allies had lances and sabers, and the Russians had guns. They literally brought knives to a gunfight. This poorly planned attack, resulting in needless slaughter, was memorialized by Alfred Lord Tennyson's The Charge of the Light Brigade, which I read in high school, I'm sure.
Me too.
I have it here, and I thought maybe we could read it at the end and add it to the end of the episode.
Sure, totally.
But once I read it again, I was like, oh yeah, I do remember this.
Yeah.
And I don't remember understanding the gravity of what it was like. When you're a teenager, you're like, I don't get it.
For anybody that doesn't know, I almost don't even want to spoil it if we're going to read it towards the end, but it's about duty, let's say.
And it's reading it in the lens of it was a massacre and they were told to go, and then it was like they just totally were unprepared. It was all a mistake. Yeah, all in the Valley of Death rode the 600. Forward the Light Brigade charged the guns. Into the Valley of Death rode the 600. So like they were just doomed.
And it was from what I understand, the history of it is that the order to charge was a mistaken order. They weren't even supposed to go.
I didn't even see that part.
And the men protested and said, no, because we know what's over here and we know what'll happen. And whoever was in charge was like, that is the order.
Ugh.
And they were like, okay, I mean, that we literally to defy this would be treason and we would all be shot. Anyways.
Well, okay. We'll read the poem
Crazy,
at the end.
Man.
Yeah.
Charged Light Brigade is like to me, it's one of the craziest lessons of like the military in general.
Well,
It's
I
like,
mean,
holy
I shouldn't
shite.
even say this because we shouldn't talk about it because I don't even remember the details, but I know that there was like an order for like a nuclear missile to be launched that was it was a mistake, and like some guy actually was like, wait a second, this doesn't seem right, and he didn't.
Yep.
Yeah, like question everything, folks. Okay, so the account of that battle kept Victoria up at night. She'd been under the impression given by her own military leaders that the battle was a great success. And she could hardly believe it because no advance had even been made. The thoughts of the widows of these men greatly saddened her. Finally, in November, the Battle of Inkerman started the final siege of the port of Sevastopol on the Black Sea. It was supposed to last maybe a few weeks or months, but the siege dragged out. The port had actually been built by the Russians, and it was practically impenetrable. So they're like in their own fort that they had built really well. Victoria was sure to be a part of every discussion on the war, despite the fact that she didn't really believe she was particularly savvy when it came to military matters. But she still was like, don't leave me out of anything. I need to know what's going on.
And this was all part of the Crimean War, right?
Yes.
Okay.
All these battles in the war. Albert worked alongside her on responses and memos. Like there was a lot of correspondence related to the war. Lord Aberdeen was forced to resign, the prime minister. He was forced to resign in January of 1855 because of an official inquiry into the conduct of the war.
Ooh.
So Lord Palmerston, if we remember from a few minutes ago, he authorized Florence Nightingale to go out there. He was the foreign secretary.
Okay.
He was promoted to prime minister. And I left this out in the last episode, but there was this whole thing with Lord Palmerston. He was like really hard-headed and like he would just like defy what anybody told him to do. But
including Victoria kind of thing?
Yes, and Albert, and they were like, no, this guy, like he was told to do one thing and then he would go like send an official correspondence to like Germany and piss everybody off. And it was so complicated. I was like, maybe I'll get back to this later. I think it's funny, though, because they said that once he became prime minister, they were happy because they thought he was better suited to be the prime minister than the foreign secretary. So like he was a bad diplomat, but like a good internal leader.
Sure.
So that made me chuckle. So that's a little more about Lord Palmerston. Maybe we'll get to more about him later, but I don't know. It was one of those things where it's like I'd written like a page on it and I was like, this isn't even that's the sum of it up.
Probably a good call.
Anyway, so on to Albert. At the time of the war, there was there was immense public distrust of him. He was German. Like he wasn't a Brit. He was a German. They were worried about him advising the Queen, especially during a time of war. Despite the fact that he was actually advocating for better conditions for the troops and publicly calling for investigations into the management of the war, the public was like, but he's German.
but if the war is between Russia and the Turks, then why do they care that he's German?
They just didn't like that he was a foreigner and he was advising on matters of war.
Interesting.
But, you know, they were all wary of him, and there were false rumors that he had been charged with treason. It wasn't true. It angered Victoria. She called it abominable, unwarranted, and horrid. Horrid. Her perfect Albert. How dare they? A month later, there was a public debate in Parliament that supported Albert's role as advisor to the Queen, and the rabbling eventually settled down. In reality, though, he had a bit usurped Victoria's power. We've talked about this over and over again. He was meeting with the Prime Minister alone. And Victoria mentioned at the time of her journal, she kind of believed it to be like the right thing. It was traditional. He was the man and he was the master of the woman in the marriage. So the thing that's disappointing to me about Victoria is so often she defers to Albert, and it just frustrates me.
Yeah.
But also I wasn't living 200 years ago. I don't know how I would even, I'm a pretty defiant and outspoken person as it is, and she was too, and it just seems like as she gets older, she becomes more and more submissive.
That's strange.
I don't know, because a lot of people get a little more outspoken as
I was
they get
going to
older.
say, I feel like it's the exact opposite. I feel like she would have gotten way more and more like, I don't care, I'm the queen, shut up and listen.
She's about 40 right now, and so she hasn't gotten to that older, real whatever I say goes stage.
I've met many a 40-year-old, and I feel like most of them are at that place.
Like me?
Like you.
Almost. I'm a young.
You were 40 yet.
I'm not 40 yet. I'm a young 40.
Yeah. Wait, you're 39?
I'm 39.
When's your birthday?
February.
February, okay.
Yeah. So Albert had not grown up about this whole like women being submissive to the husband. Albert had not grown up with a strong, smart woman around him. Like his mother was kicked out of the house because his father was cheating. Remember all that stuff. His tutor, the whole household, it was all men. Victoria was very traditionalist. And by 1854, she was calling her husband this, like, I don't even know. She was calling him Lord and Master.
Really?
Yes. Albert, she called Lord and Master.
Lord and Master.
Yeah.
That's pretty extreme.
Yes. And her confidence in her own abilities was diminishing in general, which, as I was saying, it was kind of a juxtaposition to her confidence in herself in her younger years. Like, she was like, I know what I'm talking about.
Totally. Very headstrong.
But then again, also, a lot of us are that way when we're younger.
But it just seems... I mean, I'm curious to see if there are reasons why, you know, if Albert was...
Well, here's one.
Some kind of way.
Albert told Victoria that their eldest daughter, Vicky, was smarter than Victoria.
Oh, what a dick.
And, like... all of this was despite the fact that she was actually very well educated and she continued to learn. Like, remember her at the Great Exhibition? She wanted to know everything she could. Then it cited just, she would talk about astronomy and like the weight of planets and stuff. Like, she was learning stuff, but she talks a lot about her weight and she has a lot of anxiety and she has depression. And I think she just had somewhat low self-esteem.
I think I'm reading between the lines here. I think that her guy, what's his name again?
Albert.
That's why I don't know why that escapes me right now. But Albert, I think he's kind of a picker. You know what I mean? It sounds like he knows what her
like
insecurities were.
A negative thing here and a negative thing there.
And these little cutting things to bring her down and bring her down and bring her down and bring her down. And then eventually just wore down her psyche to where she was just like, okay, master. And he was like, that's right.
I don't know. The book doesn't really, at least at this point so far that I've dug into, it doesn't say for sure. I mean, a lot of people didn't believe that she was capable of being a good queen because she was a woman. It was the time. That was it. Like, so everyone around her, and I think we've said this before in like a previous episode, like everyone truly didn't have her back.
It's
like
crazy.
Lazen did.
Yeah. But she got sent away.
Her mother actually did, but she misplaced her confidence in Conroy and really like he just wanted power. I don't know. I mean, it's an odd position. And so just like even with Mabel, like sometimes she did things and you're like, really? She was very headstrong though, and she would never have let somebody walk all over her like this.
Okay.
But like, I don't know. I just feel like sometimes I'm sort of like surprised.
I'm that's exactly how I feel right now, is surprised to hear that this is how she is.
Well, so she wrote of all of this, I trust I have tried to do my duty, though I feel how incompetent I, as a woman, am to be what I ought to be.
Oh, man.
I often think what a blessing it would be were dearest Albert the king instead of me. I know. It's like, no!
I think it sounds to me like Albert has been whispering negativity into her ear for a while now.
He was
and
like
it's
kind of a
making her question.
know-it-all, and like, I don't know.
It's weird. I can't figure this dude out, this Albert guy, because I feel like on the one hand, he has a lot of progressive policies. He's got a lot of these really cool ideas on how he wants to change the government, how he wants to help the people, how he wants to help the troops. And then he'll be like a total jerk.
I mean, again, we weren't there and the times were different. And it's just like when something is the way it is, like women are inferior to men and that's the way of the land. Like what do you... I don't know. So maybe on a slightly, well, not an up note, eventually an up note. Here we go. So the war is still happening, all this. The war
That is an up note.
Yeah. The war finally ended, though, in 1855. This was after a 349-day siege, and the Allies finally won the port of Sevastopol. It was a war that was pretty much good for exposing parliamentary and military incompetence.
Okay.
The Brits lost more than 20,000 soldiers, except only 2,800 were lost to battle. The rest, almost 18,000, were lost to disease.
Whoa!
Maybe the most beneficial outcome was the contributions of Florence Nightingale. In 1855 and 1856, Victoria was somewhat jealous of Florence Nightingale. She wrote of her prolifically in her diaries. She wished that she could be on the front lines taking care of the wounded, and wrote about soldiers like mothers would. So she was just like, oh, I want to be out there. Not jealous, like...
She's like envious.
Envious, yes. Like, I want to be out there like Florence Nightingale can be. Who, by the way, Florence Nightingale was born in Florence, and that's why her name was Florence.
No way.
I randomly stumbled across that.
Are we keeping going with Florence Nightingale? Because I have a question.
I got a tiny bit more.
Keep going, yes.
I don't know that I'm going to necessarily answer your question.
No, that's okay.
And if it's not on this page, I probably don't know. So when the men came back from the war, Victoria personally presented them with their war medals. And this was in March of 1855. In January of 1856, she gave Florence Nightingale a brooch, and it was inscribed with "Blessed are the merciful." She then invited Nightingale to Balmoral Castle, where when she returned back from the war. So Nightingale accepted, and she showed up. So Victoria had been expecting someone like cold and severe, like who could go out on the front lines and be firm and directive. But she found Nightingale to be, quote, gentle, pleasing, and engaging, most ladylike, and so clever, clear and comprehensive in her views of everything. Victoria admired her humility. She would travel under an alias and wouldn't appear in public. So she was kind of famous at this time, and she would like go under the radar.
Wow.
All she wanted was funding for her sole mission of improving the system and organization of medical care. So that's part of the reason she said, yes, I will come see you, Queen. She had already influenced so much in the Crimea, even the U.S. government was asking for advice on how to care for wounded soldiers in the Civil War only a few years later.
Whoa.
While at Balmoral, Nightingale stayed with Dr. Clark.
Oh.
At the time, she cut off all of her hair because she had lice.
Ooh.
And this shocked Victoria. But what did Nightingale think about Victoria? At first, she thought Victoria was, quote, stupid, the least self-reliant person she had ever known, and cited that Victoria would send for Albert if she couldn't get out of a conversation with someone.
Oh my gosh.
However, after spending more time with the Queen, she changed her tune. She thought that Albert was smart, but, quote, capable of being greatly wrong. So she sees through him. She noted that, quote, he thought the world could be managed by prizes and exhibitions and good intentions. Clearly, she was a woman of action, and by the end of her visit, she had gotten her royal commission. Like, they gave her the money to do the thing she wanted to do.
That's cool.
What is your question about Florence Nightingale that I won't know the answer to?
That's okay. And hey, maybe somebody else out there knows this answer. But I feel like when I was in school in the 90s as a little tyke in elementary, Florence Nightingale was seen as a heroic figure. Mm-hmm. And I feel like in the past 10, 15 some odd years or whatever, I feel like the sentiment has reversed, and there was like something that was discovered or something that was like, oh no, she was actually terrible or something. Not from what I saw. I mean, I have her on my list as potential people to cover in the future. So that's funny.
She might be someone that we should look into. But
okay.
From what I can see here, she was apparently, what did she say? Sweet and wonderful and amazing and something clever and comprehensive and humble and stuff.
I'd be curious because I know that I've done some just like very light Googling on her, and I found like nothing there. But
I did read in a footnote in the book something about there might have been someone who was like an indigenous person who was there too.
Maybe, and she was stealing all the glory or something.
If she was stealing. She like left her out. That might be it.
Maybe that's it. Okay, I don't know. If anybody out there does know why we're mad at Florence Nightingale now, please let me know. I'm curious.
Florence Nightingale is canceled.
No, that's kind of what it feels like. And so I'm just curious if she actually was. It's sort of like Mother Teresa, okay? The Catholic Church just made her a saint a couple years back, and if you look into what this woman was doing, she was literally encouraging people to die in her facility so she could get more money to keep going. She was literally refusing volunteers to help because that wasn't lucrative. That didn't make them more money.
I did not know that.
Yes. So, and this is all true, by the way. I'm sorry to burst any bubbles about Mother Teresa here. She was not a saintly woman at all. She actually wasn't even any type of a religious figure. She just went to, what's the place she went to? It's a place in, I want to say India.
I don't know.
I can't remember the name of the place. But yes, she got all this crazy publicity for being wonderful, but in reality, she was like letting people die from curable causes, like from curable diseases and sicknesses, because she was getting more funding that way.
Well, we should research this more.
So, anyways, that's why I'm curious about.
Well, I found the
Florence
footnote, and
Nightingale.
it was actually about Victoria omitting somebody.
Oh, okay. Well, I am curious if I'm dead wrong about this, and if any experts on Florence Nightingale out there are like, dude, no, you have no idea what you're talking about. There's nothing there. Fine, fair enough. I don't know. I just could have sworn there was something where like people were making fun of her or saying that actually it was really bad or something. I can't remember.
I don't know. So this just says that Victoria was, writing about Florence Nightingale in her journals and all this stuff. And then it has a footnote that says she did not mention the Jamaican-born nurse Mary Seacole, who worked in the Crimea running an army provision store. This much-loved British hotel built from driftwood at Balaclava, the tending of the ill dressed in her brightly colored clothes and on battlefields. So there was someone else who was interesting doing stuff there. Maybe we should look into her too. That might be. Yeah,
I'm curious. I wasn't sure if there was something that you had read. Like, it was this. She actually did that kind of thing.
I honestly, when I started researching her a little bit more, I got a couple little facts, and then I was like, I can't go down this rabbit hole. A, I don't have time, and B, if I decide to cover her in the future, like, let's save it for then.
Totally.
So anyway, Florence Nightingale didn't think too highly of the Queen, but then she kind of came around. Okay. And then she got her money, so she was like real happy. I mean, I don't think she was like, yeah, finally I got my money. Like she was just like, oh, okay,
sweet.
So we're moving on from the war and Florence Nightingale and everything. But during the time of the war, the family was growing up. Their firstborn, Vicky, remember Vicky, the firstborn?
Pussy.
Pussy. She was 15 at the time. Okay. And a Prussian prince named Frederick William had taken a fancy to her. He went to Victoria and Albert and asked for her hand in marriage, which they were thrilled to give. This was part of a way that they were thinking diplomatically they might be able to help with like Germany relations and things like that.
Yeah.
But they made him promise not to tell Vicky until after her confirmation at age 16. They just wanted to surprise her.
Okay.
Victoria was even more thrilled because she thought Vicky was not pretty enough for Fitz. And she was probably projecting some of her insecurities on her daughter. So she's like, this super hot prince is into my kind of mediocre looking daughter.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, she's got a lot of insecurities. Victoria's mother, remember the Duchess, she was still alive.
Okay.
Their conflict was long forgotten at this point. It's noted in diaries that Victoria and her mother both regretted what they let Conroy, like how they let him drive this wedge between them. In 1859, the Duchess had gotten really sick, and Victoria wrote to Uncle Leopold that she was just so fearful of losing her mother. So bygones were bygones at this point.
Cool. Water under the bridge.
Water under the bridge. Actually, that's really funny that you say that, because now I'm going on to a new topic. In the mid-1850s, the River Thames was extremely polluted.
Like it still is to this day.
I think it was more polluted than here you go. The population of London had more than doubled from 136,000 households in 1801 to 360,000 households in 1851. The river was filled with trash and human waste.
Yup, I was waiting for that one.
Poor Londoners would fish out anything they could sell. Nails, coal, wood, and more. With the advent of the water closet, the city's sewage was routed into the river. Every year, 80 million gallons of human waste from more than 3 million Londoners drained into the Thames. The stench would filter up to Buckingham Palace.
Dude.
Victoria documented what she saw and noted that her dogs would chase rats around her bedroom. So she employed a personal rat catcher named, you're going to love this, Jack Black. So this is a squirrel I followed.
Now all I'm going to see, I'm sure you did too, moving forward, is this rat catcher is basically Jack Black from, I'm thinking either High Fidelity or School of Rock.
Yes.
Or Tenacious D, I'll take that too.
He was definitely a character. I've got a few quick facts about Jack Black because I couldn't just not say anything.
Yes, please.
He wrote about almost dying from infection from multiple rat bites. Like he just, luckily he didn't get rabies. I don't know.
Plague or something.
Yeah. He wore this like self-designed uniform that was like a red coat and green trousers or it was like red and green. And then he had this sash that had iron rats in it.
Dude, no, this honestly is fitting the mold of actual Jack Black so perfectly. Like, if he was transported back to this Victorian age to be a rat
this would have been his job.
he'd be like, I need a good
and he would be
jacket
like
and
singing
pants and
about
outfit.
This is a rat that I caught in the Queen's quarters.
I really, really want this to be a movie now. Is Jack Black in Victorian times catching rats?
Oh my gosh, we should write the screenplay
That would
and we
be
should
an
approach Jack
amazingly
Black.
good movie.
That would be amazing. So one of the things that was really interesting, he would capture uniquely colored rats and he would breed them.
It's kind of cool.
And he like popularized fancy rats.
Fancy rats?
And so like Victorian women would have these fancy rats that they'd keep in cages. And there's like a fancy rat society. And Victoria even had a few of them.
Wow. This makes me think of Royal Tenenbaums, by the way, and Ben Stiller's character who breeds the polka dotted mice.
Basically, it's basically that. So yeah, he pretty much like made it so that people kept rats as pets.
That's wild.
He made the domestic rat.
The rat catcher, which now, by the way, I'm thinking of also Charlie Kelly from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He has a rat bashing stick.
Oh.
Because the bar is infested with rats, so he has to go down to the basement with a baseball bat and he just smashes rats. Like, that's his job.
That sounds terrifying and gross.
Well, okay, but that is Jack Black. That is literally the guy that we are talking about right now.
Yes,
it'd be exactly that. King of the
Jack
rats.
Black. Well, he was capturing the nice rats and he was making more rats out of them.
It's okay. He was making more rats out of the rats.
Ladies had fancy rats. They had fancy rats. A fancy rat is like a thing. I didn't know any of this stuff. There's like a fancy rat society.
Still, right? Isn't there like, there's like rat breeders and stuff, and they're like all these
100%,
exotic
just
rats.
like dog showing.
Hey, I've heard a lot of people say that their pet rats are like the sweetest pets they've ever had.
Yes.
I don't know what it is. I am not into.
It's the tail for me. I don't like animals without fur, so when I don't like the mice and the tails. But I had a gerbil once that had like, it was a
snub-nosed tail kind of thing.
No, it was a dwarf hamster. So it didn't
have one of those.
It didn't have a tail. It just was like a cute little rump, or like a rabbit or a guinea pig. I'm cool with, but when it has that tail,
see. We had mice, and I didn't mind it because it's so delicate. But I think a rat tail is so thick. It's like this big noodle.
I want to
like
I want to pick my feet up off the floor right now because I'm like, what about a rat?
Yeah, dude, rats. I don't know what it is. Mice, I don't like. Rats, I really don't like.
Yeah.
Sorry, all you rat lovers out there. That sounds weird.
Don't hate on rats. We don't know. I don't know any rats, so I really can't make an opinion.
No, it's true. I don't hate them. I don't know. For some reason, as like a pest, rats freak me out more than mice as a pet, or as a vermin. Like
we have mice in our house basically every year, and it's gross. And they typically come up from the basement, and then they get in the pantry, and then they eat a bunch of things, and then I throw out like hundreds of dollars of things, and I get really, really irritated. And I didn't want to kill the rats, though, because I don't want to kill rats because I feel bad about it. So I got this like not rats, they were mice, this live trap. So I catch one, I take it out in the yard, and I put it by the back fence. And Aaron is just like, Aubrey, that rat's going to be back in the house in like 5 minutes.
I know.
Sorry, mouse. Well, in Spanish, it's like they basically are the same. Rata, whatever. Yeah. So last year or the year before, Aaron sets traps. And we have like a mouse count on our dry erase board. We'd gotten like 11 or something. And there was this one that he was too smart. He knew how to avoid the traps. And I was like, we need to catch him in the live trap. But at this point, I'd given the live trap away on Facebook Marketplace because I was like, this is stupid since I'm not going to take it 4 miles away.
Right.
So then I was like, man, I wish I could get that live trap back. Because I want to catch it and like have it as a pet because it's clearly a very smart mouse. And I know I've been saying rat and mouse like over and over again the wrong way. But anyway, and then like as soon as I was like about ready to go find another trap like that, like live trap, he got gotten.
Oh, well.
And then I felt bad.
I mean, I don't like it, but I will say like maybe 8 months ago, something like that, we had a bunch of mice too. Mm-hmm. So we got one of those like larger size live traps with like the sticky pad in it, you know?
No.
And so Kat threw it out in the garden and like I think in one trap we caught probably like 14 or 15 mice.
No, I don't like it because then what do you do?
And then, okay, well, do you want to know what I had to do?
No, not really. This podcast is rated PG.
No, it's not. It's rated explicit.
Oh, because I can't.
Well, okay, so the thing is like I get it. I don't want to kill anything. I'm not that person. I don't hunt. I don't want to hear the cries of anything at all, ever.
Sorry, we are really digressing.
We are, but I'm just gonna say that it's one of those things with mice where they're an infestation that it's like you can't just take them out to a field and somewhere and say it's all good, mice, go live your happy lives, because they'll come right on back, keep breeding, and make a bunch more mice. So every single person that I've talked to who's either a homeowner or in pest control says the same thing, which is just like, you have to.
No,
kill
I know.
them.
And especially in Colorado, there's so many of them.
So I did it in the only way that I could bring myself to do it. I'm sorry if this
I don't
this
really
is terrible
want to know.
framing. Fine, well, I can skip over it if you want. If you're just like, no way, dude, I want to hear
la,
this.
La 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 la.
Well, let's just say bucket of water, kerplunk.
Okay. Well, I don't like those traps.
No, I don't either, but it just had to be done.
We use some that are actually, what we should do is reach out to this rat trap company and see if they want to be a sponsor, because it's like a really strong
This
trap.
episode brought to you by Rat Traps.
It's a really strong like and it breaks their spine immediately, and it's not the old metal kind, it's like a different one, and it's got a little thing where you can't see their little head because it's inside a little thing. So yeah, and then you have a husband that just picks them up and just takes it away.
Well, that's the most important part.
This
Is
is
you
the
gotta
only-
hire the husband
I mean,
to come and
the
do
first
it.
year I lived in that house and he wasn't around yet, I just had mice. I was just like Cinderella-ing
This is
in
my
there.
life.
I was just like, got Cinderella.
This is me now.
Okay, well, let's talk about something more pleasant, like cholera.
Yay!
In 1853, there was a cholera epidemic, and it killed almost 12,000 people.
Was there also love in this time?
Probably. It was love in the time of cholera. Finally, scientists realized that cholera was not airborne, and it actually traveled in water. Scientists did not, or the government did not act on this, and by 1858, I love this, the stench was unbearable. It was called the Great Stink.
The Great Stink. That sounds like a really, really bad sequel to The Big Chill.
Yes. This is a really good soundtrack, actually, of the Big Chill.
Dude, my father-in-law and I were just talking about that like last weekend about how great of a soundtrack
So
that is.
weird that
It's
like
his favorite movie.
It's like a well-known great soundtrack. I don't think I've ever seen the movie though.
Oh, dude.
Okay, add it to the list.
Now is the time in your life. If you watch in your 20s, you're not going to get The Big Chill.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You got to be a little bit older.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll watch it because I think Aaron's family watched it like when he was a kid, and
It's
like
an
my friend
all-time
Mona
classic
loved that.
at this
Anyway,
point. It's really good.
I think I oddly bought it on DVD at some point in the bargain bin at remember at Blockbuster when you could buy the DVD, but I don't think I ever watched it. I don't know.
You should. It's great.
So back to the Great Stink.
The Great Stink of cholera.
Authorities scattered lime in the river below Parliament, and then they would hang sheets soaked in bleach from the ceiling so that the gentlemen could debate without having to hold handkerchiefs to their noses.
Oh my gosh.
There was 18 miles of black sewage backed up.
Oh my gosh.
There was so little rain that it lowered the water levels, so the water temperature hit a record high, which contributed to the smell.
This is like making me nauseous thinking about this, dude.
Don't worry. Ultimately, a civil engineer named Joseph Bazalgette proposed a plan that would add more sewers, pump stations, and embankments to resolve the issue. And it's speculated that his plan saved more lives than any other Victorian official's efforts at all. Like, him doing that saved more people from everything.
Jeez.
I didn't look into Joseph Bazalgette, though. I just thought that was enough on poop backups.
I don't know if you're gonna get there, but are you gonna get to the isolating point of cholera?
No.
So I don't know if you know this, but it got to a point where, and I could be a little bit wrong on the disease. I was 99% sure it was cholera. If I'm wrong about this, somebody correct me. But I want to say it was cholera, and there was this point where it had been largely eradicated, but there was this huge outbreak, and they couldn't figure out what was going on. It was like 8 years, something like that, where they're just going, what the heck? It keeps spreading. And then finally, somebody had the sense to say, look at the map. Where is this happening? What's going on? And they basically, just like we do now with crime, they looked at it and went, oh, wait. All the people that are initially reporting getting sick are all coming from the same exact little area. Okay, what do they all have in common? There was literally a single hydrant of water
Oh,
that
interesting.
all these people were getting their water from, and it was infecting all of these people in this area.
Is this the 1853 cholera epidemic?
It might be. It might be a little bit later. I'd have to look at this. This was a distant memory. I'm recalling this from years and years ago, reading something. But to this day, there is a plaque in England because the hydrant was taken away. But there's a thing that's on it that says this was the source of the entire thing that we figured out, and this was it. Yeah.
Interesting.
For the next episode, at the end of it, for one of our like little corrections, I'll try to grab the full story of this, just as like a condensed little.
I mean,
little
I'm wondering
factoid.
if it's related to this. I just didn't dig that deep. Again, you know how it is.
Might be.
You know how it is making these episodes. You could spend, you got
to pick and choose the things
Yeah.
you want to go on a rabbit hole for sure.
Yes, but
So
the good news is, all of you listening at home, you have the internet, and you can make your own rabbit holes.
you can, or like I said, for the next episode, I'll probably just write out a little
have
thing
some
that
answers.
says
Yes,
what
we
the
might
answers
have
to
some
this are.
answers.
But anyways,
Okay, so let's see. We talked about Joseph Bazalgette. Okay, so we're moving topics again. It's April 17th, 1857, and Victoria has birthed her final child, beloved Beatrice.
oh,
Beatrice means blessed. And Victoria was blessed because she'd been given chloroform again for this birth.
happy day.
The pregnancy wasn't easy. She was plagued with a nagging cough and exhaustion. During the pregnancy, Albert said that Victoria was barely able to complete her duties. But this time around, she bounced back within only 2 months, and she was able to dance the night away at 2
Ooh.
months. So that was good for her in the whole scheme of all of her pregnancies.
I didn't know she was such a big Van Halen fan.
Ah, yes.
Can you imagine Queen Victoria dancing to Van Halen, by the way?
I think she might have an episode. Actually, no, she doesn't seem prone to episodes. Albert might. So Victoria and Albert loved Beatrice, and I think this happens a lot with the youngest. I mean, they dote on the youngest. Albert said that Beatrice was, quote, the most amusing baby we have ever had.
Ooh.
It makes me laugh, the language we have ever had. Like, it's like the
Of
best
all
movie I
the
have ever
babies we've
seen.
had, this baby is the best.
Well, there were 9 of them, so I guess that works.
That's fair.
Okay, Dr. Clark. Dr. Clark. We need like a
Strikes
Dr.
again.
Clark versus Dr. Parmenter or something. I don't know.
Seriously, choose your doctor.
Choose your doctor. Dr. Clark told Victoria that Beatrice should be her last child. Victoria was 38, and with age came riskier pregnancies. Now, there was nothing about miscarriages or any issues in birth other than it was painful. Like, they didn't get into any details. So I'm pretty impressed because that's like a lot of births, and she basically had there's speculation that she did actually have some complications like a prolapsed uterus and like things that can happen.
Okay.
But I've never read it in here. They kind of alluded to something about like future journal entries when she was older and like reminiscing, kind of like Mabel Dodge wrote about her younger years when she was older. So we might get more on that, but generally she like was able to move along from all 9 of these pregnancies.
Cool.
But Victoria was concerned about this directive to no longer have any children. Would this stop her from being able to be, quote, intimate with Albert? She actually asked Dr. Clark, "Can I have no more fun in bed?" Sadly, the book does not describe any sort of birth control methods that might have been proposed to Victoria, but knowing Dr. Clark, they would have been ineffective at best or dangerous at worst. Regardless of what he suggested and what she did, Beatrice was indeed her last child. So I couldn't help myself, though. I had to do a little research into what was available at the time, and I learned that the cervical cap was invented in 1838. So, like, there was a somewhat effective birth control method, but some women couldn't get a hold of it, so they would use half of a lemon.
Okay.
Yep.
That doesn't seem pleasant.
It doesn't seem like a good way to not get at least a yeast infection.
I'm sorry to be this crass, but I'm also let's just say the thought of lemon juice down there ain't so good.
Yeah, that doesn't sound pleasant. Maybe they would like rinse it a lot. I don't know.
Don't even. Sorry.
Well, if you don't like lemon caps, you could use a sea sponge.
Maybe it was a hollowed out lemon cap.
Well, yeah, no, I think that's what they meant. Like the lemon rind.
The juice was gone.
Yeah,
It's
so
just
it's cut in half, the stuff out, and then just the cap. So I think that's what they meant.
Now I'm oh boy. Now I'm imagining that half of a lemon as a hat.
Oh, Lordy.
Okay, sorry.
So again, if you don't like lemon caps, you can use sea sponges. That was another option.
Sea sponges, okay.
The rhythm method, which is timing your cycle.
Okay, like ovulation.
Ovulation.
Cycle. Okay.
It's again, we are not medical professionals.
Don't take our advice on this.
It is listed as the least effective birth control method aside from abstinence, which is not exactly a birth control method. It is only effective 75% of the time.
Interesting.
So I don't know exactly what. I don't know, but she didn't have any more kids. It's a really interesting topic. Go ahead and do a little Googling if you want. There was some more stuff like that you could. I know it's explicit, but we don't need to go this far. Just Google it.
I was like,
anyway,
don't Google it that much.
Okay, so 1 short month after Beatrice was born, we had some more conflict coming.
Okay.
Mutiny was brewing in India after almost a decade of broadening British influence. So they saved their trade route to India, and then India got a little, well, you'll find out. During that time, the doctrine of lapse was issued, LAPSE, which took land from Indian landowners if they died without a male Indian heir, or if they were said to be incompetent.
Oh.
Which is like very subjective.
Yes.
The British, I like this name, led by Lord Dalhousie.
Dalhousie.
Yeah, Dalhousie. Dalhousie.
Oh, that's a fun name.
It's like pretty to look at too, actually.
Yeah.
The Governor General of India had invested significantly in infrastructure. He built railways, irrigation, telegraph lines, post offices, roads, like all kinds of things.
Okay.
At the time, also, land owned by the British increased by 33%. So they were acquiring this land, but they were investing in the infrastructure. He did a good thing. He cracked down on female infanticide because they didn't want to have girls because girls couldn't contribute to the family.
Sure.
And also human sacrifice, which I guess was a thing at this time. Dalhousie made another change that permitted Indian widows to remarry. This was very offensive to the religion.
Sure.
So that was not good. Some of these changes were negative, like the doctrine of lapse. Some were positive, like preventing infanticide.
Sure.
Some of them were overstepping. It was a lot of change all at once. The final straw was over the Enfield rifled musket. It used cartridges that were smeared. I don't know why. I couldn't figure this out. Were smeared with pig and cow fat, maybe for lubrication.
That's what I'm thinking.
I don't know. These were supposed to be, the cartridges were supposed to be torn open with your teeth. So you have like one hand and you rip it open. And that was offensive to Muslims and Hindus because it was pig and cow fat.
That makes sense.
So it's all Muslims and Hindus in India.
Yeah.
They read this as a precursor to being forced to convert to Christianity. They were like, okay, this is like a last straw here. You guys are about to make us convert.
It's fair.
Now, the British did replace the cartridges with ones that you can open with your fingers, but it's speculated that the grease likely remained on the cartridges. So, in May of 1857, May 9th, 85 men were sentenced to 10 years in prison because they refused to load their guns.
Whoa.
And this was just too much. The next day, the Indians outnumbering the British 5-1 revolted, killing British officers and their wives. They marched to Delhi and killed up to 50 Europeans. Now, Victoria urged her cabinet to do something. Some of the troops that were en route to China on a diplomacy mission for the Second Opium War, which I also did not dig into, they were going out there and they got diverted to India. And that actually delayed the Chinese Opium War by a year, kind of oddly. What followed was horrible. I mean, this is terrible. There was a battle at Cawnpore, Cawnpore. There were 350 British under siege by 3,000 Indian mutineers. The British were ambushed after a sympathetic Indian prince had offered to help them escape, but then they were ambushed on the escape.
Oh, man.
Almost everyone was killed except for 125 women and children who were imprisoned, and then they were slaughtered a month later.
Whoa.
The British arrived 1 day later and killed every mutineer, but only after they made the mutineers lick blood from the floor where the dead bodies of the women and children lay.
And there were like 3,000 mutineers?
Yeah. Yeah, I never put that math together. All of them were killed.
Dude. Whoa. That's intense, man. I've never heard this before.
I never heard it either.
That's crazy.
It's probably because they just don't teach you some of this stuff.
No.
Especially in the U.S. Maybe if you would learn it if you lived in the U.K.
That is very possible.
We didn't necessarily learn it.
But that is completely crazy. So siege happens. They try to escape through this prince. They get captured. The 300 or whatever it was soldiers minus the 125 or some odd women and children all die. Then they die a month later. And then when the British go, okay, we're gonna come back and do some vengeance, before slaughtering 3,000 Indians, they make them lick the blood off the ground. That's just that's
day-old blood. Let's
great.
Just
great.
I don't know if that makes it worse or better, but
it's like I wonder why the world has such a bad taste of British colonialism throughout.
Yeah, I know. I mean, where did that come from?
Good Lord, dude, that is nasty.
Yeah, so the British got revenge. They maimed and tortured the rebels. Governor Canning told the troops that it was not acceptable behavior, and Victoria supported him. She was like, to the nation at large, to the peaceable inhabitants, to the many kind and friendly natives who have assisted us, they should be shown the greatest kindness. She's like, there's a lot of people out there who were not part of this. You need to get it together. Quit it. They should know there's no hatred to a brown skin, none, but the greatest wish on their queen's part to see them happy, contented, and flourishing. In July of the next year, there was a treaty signed, and Parliament abolished the East India Trading Company, and that had been in charge of the subcontinent since 1601. So all these guys that worked for the East India Trading Company were coming back to England, and they said that the Indians behaved like animals, but Victoria said that she promised legal protection for the religious beliefs and worship of her Indian subjects and insisted that all should be given jobs according to education and ability, not class or creed. Now, I read this and I don't know if that actually all happened, but I know that that was what she said because, again, she's a monarch. She's not like the one that actually makes things happen. She's the one who can say, like, you should do this.
Right. But
whether or not it happens. But yeah, that was pretty horrible. And I was like,
that's brutal.
Is brutal. Yeah, that definitely. So you think about how the sun doesn't set on the British Empire, and that was like the saying about her reign. But like, it's interesting. All these things were happening at the time of her being queen, but they weren't because of her.
Do you know the full phrase, by the way, of the sun never sets on the British Empire?
No.
It's the sun never sets on the British Empire because you can never trust a Brit in the dark. I'm not kidding.
Okay.
And when you hear these types of stories, I can see why that phrase
I guess
appeared.
So, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I thought it was referring to the fact that there's so much land in the British Empire that at no point in time is the sun set.
And it is true. But that was the joke.
I did not know
the full phrase was that you can't trust a Brit in the dark.
Interesting. Well, I mean, yeah. Okay. Well, let's move on from that stuff. How about something that was good?
More cholera?
No, actually, somewhat good. Albert, this is just a quick aside because it just happened. Finally, they gave him the title of Prince Consort in 1857. Victoria was thrilled about this, so they like elevated his position finally.
Okay, cool.
A little bit. So she was happy about it. I'm like, whatever, because he was kind of a jerk, but that happened. I'm just making sure we don't miss some of these like important things that happened.
Yeah, totally.
As we move along. So through the late 1850s, there was more threat of war, including when Austria declared war on France in 1859. Now, this is interesting. Though a peace was agreed upon only months later, averting a full-scale war. Again, this is Austria and France. England remained neutral. And it's important to comment the editors of the Queen's letters. So like later, after she died, there were editors who read all of her letters and her journals and all this stuff. This guy named Lord Esher commented that Victoria's work with these prime ministers had actually stayed the action of a minister when such action involved risks and perils, which reflection convinced him and his colleagues that they were not justified in incurring. He believed that because of Victoria, England was not drawn into this war.
Interesting.
She was like, hold up, not our fight. And so part of the thing is like he he implied that she was really like maybe actually hold back. Like she said, go to the Crimea because we got to get this over with. It's not going to end. We got to get involved to make it end, which is interesting because like right now we're in a similar position with Ukraine and Russia, and nobody wants to get involved, and like it's interesting. But in this case, she said, don't get involved. Oddly, that agreement to end this disagreement war between Austria and France was the same day that Big Ben struck for the first time in 1859. Wow. So that was kind of a cool little tidbit.
1859. I didn't know when Big Ben got up.
Let's see. Okay. So on that same vein, Victoria and Albert were, quote, according to the book, among the most skillful skillful diplomats of their time, meeting with kings and queens, emperors and empresses, and trying to sway them through friendship or argument. So both of them together. And I think I said in the last episode, there was like all this correspondence coming in, and like they responded to like 15,000 memos or something like that. Like they were busy, like basically writing letters. I guess we write emails today.
It's true. Text messages,
emails. Meetings. We have meetings. And
we're commenting on social media constantly and stuff like that. Yes. So it's similar idea. A
little more slang and
a little more important, to be honest, but you know.
Okay. So in January of 1858, Vicky married her betrothed, the Prussian Prince Fritz, with Albert's hopes that it would lead to a united Germany. And the book also said it kind of didn't, because like his ancestors, like elders, were like way more conservative, and like they were trying to be progressive, like Vicky and Fritz, but like basically the old guard stood. And so this diplomatic marriage didn't exactly.
Remind me what year this was?
1858.
58. Mm-hmm. So what, about 50 years from then, World War II starts?
Yeah.
And it's the Germans really instigating the entire thing.
Didn't exactly work. They tried.
Well, I don't know if that's necessarily true. I don't know if you could say that Germans instigated, but they were a big part of it. Anyway.
We'll find out more, I'm sure. After Vicky's wedding, Vicky had to set sail to Germany. So I was thinking about how when Albert married Victoria, he had to set sail from Germany to England.
Yes.
And it was like he came on a boat and he was like, I'm sad, like I'm leaving my home. And then Vicky, same thing, but in reverse. She's like, gotta go. I think she got married in England, but then she had to leave. So it was kind of sad. She
had to say goodbye to Pussy.
Say goodbye to Pussy. And she cried, and Pussy cried into her father's chest. Victoria and Vicky had become very, very close. And so over the next 4 decades, they wrote to each other, sometimes daily, 4,000 letters in total.
Wow.
Mother-daughter, first-daughter relationship.
That's a lot of letters.
Just a year later, Victoria became a grandmother.
Wow. So, oh my gosh, so she would have been like 17?
Yeah, or 18, I think, at this point.
Oh, okay, because she got proposed to at 16, so it probably would have been a while later before they got married.
Yeah, it says she was 17 at the time of her wedding.
Okay, well, I mean, still 18 is still
yeah,
super young.
It's young.
Whatever.
It's young. Let's note that Victoria herself had a 2-year-old.
Oh my gosh, with Beatrice, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So she became a grandmother and had a 2-year-old. She was initially horrified, quote, horrified, that Vicky, who was 17 at the time of her wedding to 26-year-old Fritz, had gotten pregnant so fast.
It's like Father of the Bride Part 2, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that movie.
Where they both have the babies at the same time, you know?
Oh, my gosh, that's so goofy. I totally forgot about that movie. So Vicky wasn't horrified. She said she was proud to create an immortal soul. Sounds the apple doesn't fall far from the tree with the way that she... Immortal soul. Ooh. Now, Victoria quipped, I think much more our being like a cow or a dog at such moments when our poor nature becomes so very animal and ecstatic. She's like, you're just basically like being bred. I don't like it.
Jeez.
Victoria had been worried about her firstborn. Victoria had had 7 births with no chloroform, so she knew the realities of childbirth. Apparently, the baby had been breech and actually had almost died. That would have been pretty bad.
Oh, wow.
Victoria scolded Vicky for, I don't know if this is weird, choosing to deliver when she could not be there. So she sent
How dare you?
So she sent some chloroform instead. She's like, here you go, daughter. I can't be there.
Trust me on this one. You'll thank me later.
Yes. I know. It's like such a I feel like Victoria was very like matter of fact kind of. She kind of reminds me of my late grandmother Mimi. Like, it was just kind of like, oh, I just can hear her in my head going, oh, well, like that's what Victoria maybe was a little bit sometimes. So Victoria asked Vicky to write out every detail of the days she spent. Like, she missed her daughter. She was like, tell me everything. She wanted to know all that was going on, and she'd always been with Vicky, and she'd never spent any time apart from her, so she just missed her. She reprimanded Vicky for many things, telling her to watch her weight, saying, quote, I really hope you're not getting fat again. Do avoid eating soft, pappy things or drinking much. You know how that fattens.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Victoria projects her insecurities on people.
Seriously. You know how that fattens. Like, speak for yourself, girl.
I mean, almost many mothers definitely say things like that. Yeah. I don't have personal experience with that. But anyway, I had to look up pappy because I was like, that's like a dad, right? And the second definition is like bland. So I think she was meaning like mashed potatoes or something.
Oh, pappy.
Pappy.
That's fun. I like that.
Yeah, pappy things. Or maybe like pasta, like pappy things, bread and stuff.
Pappy things. Okay, I feel like I want to start using that as a regular vocab term.
Yes, I love pappy things.
Like, I go to a restaurant and I order like the pasta, and the waiter brings it out. I take a bite and I go, "I'm sorry, sir, this is much too pappy. We're gonna need to."
And I'd be like, "Wow, I love how pappy this is." I don't like.
Could you
spicy.
take it down on the pap?
Give me a little more pap. Oh my gosh, pappy things. Okay. So Victoria, like many parents, was critical of her children. She wrote to Vicky about her second-born, Birdie, the one she thought was not so smart. Remember, she had his head measured?
Yes.
Yes. She, quote, called him ignorant, dull, and far from handsome, with that painfully small and narrow head, those immense features, and total want of chin.
What? Oh, Birdie.
I know,
buddy. I'll give you a hug.
Birdie's getting more rough stuff soon. She continued describing his Coburg nose, her family, just like his mother's, his putting on weight, large mouth, and new hairstyle, which was cut short and parted severely in the middle, which she said made him appear to have no head and all face.
I'm thinking of what's his name? Scabbers from Harry Potter.
Peter Pettigrew.
Peter Pettigrew. Thinking of him. That's the actor who plays him. That's like exactly what it's like coming to mind.
He's kind of pappy.
He's just, he's a great actor and everything like that,
yes.
but I'm sorry, he is not a model.
No, he's not a model.
He's kind of put into those roles because he has that sort of like little troll look to him,
Well, I think of him as a little more tall and narrow, and like his chin is in, like he's just got like a chin neck, like a chuck. Like
that dude from 90 Day Fiancé.
Oh, I don't know. I've only seen one season of that.
Oh, he looks like if you had a big toe that was morphed into a human being. That's what this guy looks like. And he's a trash person too, so I have no problem saying this. Like, anyway, that's another thing.
Okay, well.
Yes, everybody, I know. I watch 90 Day Fiancé. That is the garbage television that I watch occasionally, and I'm sorry for it.
Cousin Caroline and I watched one season of 90 Day Fiancé.
It's not good.
And the best part of it was the one where that he was from like Paraguay or something. She was like a blonde. She was like a blonde missionary. Maybe she wasn't a missionary.
Okay.
And he was from like a smaller, less. It was like a smaller South American country, and he was in a boy band called My Lavox.
Oh, I think I remember this. But dude, like, I gotta be honest with you. Now they have like 4 different offshoots of it. There's 90 Day Fiancé, 90 Day Fiancé the other way, 90 Day Fiancé before the 90
I've
days.
seen all of the
and all
names
of
of
these
those.
are coming out, and there's like 6 seasons of each of them. So now I'm just like, dude, there's like 30 seasons of this show
Well,
where I can't figure it out anymore.
Cousin Caroline and I often will just randomly say to each other, My Lavox. Because that's how he said it. My Lavox.
I will say there's this new season with this guy. It's in UK. They're doing 90 Day Fiancé UK.
Oh, well, that rhymes.
And there's this guy from, I want to say he's like Colombia, and he's a singer. And his nickname for his woman is Chicken. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So he has this song that he just keeps, and he can't sing. It's all auto-tuned. So he'll sing. He'll go, I love you, chicken. I love you, chicken. And he'll just say it over and over and over in the episodes. And I want to shoot myself.
I do too right now.
Yes.
I don't want you to ever sing that again, please. Thank you.
I won't. And you're
My
welcome
love
for
ups.
that. Even all of our listeners, for anybody that's out there that knows what I'm talking about, I know your skin crawled when I said that just now. I'm sorry.
I'm so glad I'm reminded to never try and watch that again.
Yeah, and you shouldn't. It's not a recommendation.
it's not
a
great.
good show.
No.
It's really bad.
It's
Anyway.
not great. Well, okay, so Birdie had no chin. About her son Leopold, she said, he is tall, but holds himself worse than ever, and is a very common-looking child, very plain in face, clever, but an oddity, and not an engaging child, though amusing.
I have never heard a mother speak so bluntly about their children before.
I was remembering, like, Mabel's descriptions of people, and, like, the way that, like, I wouldn't write out all these descriptions of people even if I liked them or disliked them. It's kind of funny. These are a little more about their personalities too, but because here's one more about Helena. She suffered from features so very large and long that it spoils her looks.
Oh my gosh. Well, okay. So first of all, Victoria, maybe you haven't learned this lesson yet, but maybe don't have kids with your cousin.
Yeah, that
and
might
maybe
help.
you're not going to have some weird looking kids.
Well, I mean, because Albert was so handsome and she was all like down on her own appearance. So like, Victoria, you're 50% of this equation.
I mean, I have a feeling that they are just messing with genetics at this point and they're like figuring out the repercussions in real time.
Well, don't worry, because Arthur, Alice, and Louise were attractive and therefore they were praised.
Oh, well, good.
There was nothing negative about them. And
They're great. As long as they're attractive.
yes, a couple, if out of 9, you got to have a couple that are not bad looking.
Gosh.
So by the end of the 1850s, Victoria had slimmed down herself.
Really?
Well, no longer being pregnant all the time helps.
Touche.
She was very, very happy to no longer have to birth children. She and Albert would travel to Scotland's Isle of Wight frequently, and I understand they did so incognito. People would figure out that they were wealthy and royal maybe because of her rings or a crown on a dog cart. And I just think it's funny because there was no internet.
That's crazy.
There may have been newspapers, but like, did they get up there like that much? Like they didn't necessarily know what the king or the queen and the prince consort looked like. So I think that's interesting that they could kind of...
Super interesting. And especially at this point where like photographs are in such an early state that they're not these like HD lovely photos.
No.
And then
I mean drawings too, but like
well no, and that's what I was gonna say is it's like as well as I do, looking at all of these old paintings of Victoria, you're like, what the hell
looks
does this
different
woman
in a
look
lot-
like?
yeah.
Every other painting is like, this is a different person, So it's like, I can only imagine showing up in person and then being like, who is this? Like, I have no idea because they look nothing like it.
They're just wealthy people who are here and we'll take your money at our pub in our place.
Exactly.
Like, so that's
really cool.
That made me chuckle. Actually, it reminds me when Queen Elizabeth II died, like people were telling anecdotes, and this woman apparently was up in Scotland, and there was a woman and a man and walking dogs on the road, and they were walking along and they talked to her for a while and, oh, I'm from England. Oh, really? Oh, have you ever seen the Queen of England? Oh, yes, I have. It was the Queen of England.
That's funny.
And she didn't ever say who she was. And the woman telling the story was like, I would have been a fly on the wall to hear like when this woman realized that she was talking to the Queen of England and didn't know.
That's awesome.
So it made me chuckle. Anyway, yeah, there was no internet, so no knowing of what people looked like.
Nobody was tweeting about the king and queen being up in the Isle of Wight.
No. Around this time, Victoria was seen as the mother of England. She was a working mother, and working mothers were pitied, but she was revered. So like they were like, oh, if you have to work and you're a mother, we should pity you.
Huh.
There were some stats in there about how like 1 in 4 women worked at the time. It was it was a lot to read through, but the point of this was that the monarchy became more relatable because she was a working mother. It wasn't like attainable, but it was relatable because she had all these kids. So these people would be like, oh, like, okay, she's a person, which was interesting. Because think about it. Her uncles and her grandfather were all like, frivolous and drizzling and like doing all the goofy stuff that they were doing. So she was just like a mom.
Yeah.
And they liked that.
That's cool.
At the same time, though, Victoria began to truly loathe what she called, and this is a German word that I also had to Google, Schattenseistie. I don't know. Seichtie? S-C-H-A-T-T-E-N.
Scheistige.
S-E-I-T-E. Schattenseistie.
Schattenseisties.
It makes me remember when I went to Berlin one time, our stop was Uhlenstrasse.
Uhlenstrasse.
Yeah. Anyway, so it was what she called, it was the shadow side of marriage, which was the requirement to bear children. She and Vicky disagreed. Vicky said a married woman had more freedom in society than an unmarried woman. And yes, probably. She probably had maybe money and like things like that. She might have been able to have a social life or a charitable life. Victoria saw it the other way. The physical pain, injury, and restriction when you're pregnant, you're often bedridden or even so still after birth. That was the Schattenseistie that she dreaded for all of her daughters. And she said that being a woman was unenviable. So have you ever been asked, like, would you rather be a man or a woman? She would rather be a man.
I've never been asked that question, to be honest with you.
I think a lot of women ask that question.
I mean, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like any answer I say is the wrong answer.
No, I don't. I want to be a woman. That's all I know. I wouldn't want to be a man. I don't think, but I think she would.
Okay, fair enough.
So Victoria was meticulous with her calendars, and this was not just birthdays and events, but all of the days that mattered to her. For example, the day that Albert came to England before proposing, so she wrote down that day in her calendar. The day that Fitz announced his intention to marry Vicky, she wrote that down. She would note battles. One time Vicky burned her arm on a candle, and so she wrote that down in her calendar. This is the anniversary of the day that Vicky burned her arm in the candle.
Weird.
On March 16th, 1861, Victoria added a new date to her calendar. Her mother, the Duchess of Kent, had died, while Victoria sat holding her hand. She was overwhelmed and cried for weeks, curtains drawn, and regretted how estranged she had been from her mother in her younger years. This triggered a depression that, for the now 41-year-old queen, was pretty strong, and she suffered from headaches and mood swings and daily fits of crying. People again wondered if she would follow in the footsteps of her grandfather, Mad King George. She told Vicky that she did not want to be pulled out of her grief. Albert helpfully suggested to overcome it.
Just get over it.
Just get over it.
Good job, Albert. Always with the good advice.
Now, Albert's health was not great. He had stomach issues, headaches, fevers, vomiting, toothaches, and catarrh, which I had to Google. It's a buildup of mucus in the airway. Catarrh. I'd never seen that term before.
Interesting.
He told Stockmar that stress made it all worse. Victoria actually thought he was fussing too much and suffered from what the book says is, I love this quote, a Victorian form of man flu. The book then goes on to say that while Albert chastised his wife for emotional frailty, she chastised him in return for physical weakness. She said women were born to suffer and noted that she could do anything ill before others would even know, but Albert made such a miserable face that people always thought he was very ill. So she was like, okay, so I just had a baby and I have to go to a meeting of parliament and you just like wouldn't know that I'm feeling like shit.
Yeah.
And Albert would be like, I've got catarrh.
Hey, I will admit, man flu is a real thing.
Oh, I know man flu is a real thing. So when Albert visited his brother, Ernest, in Coburg in September 1860, he told Ernest that he knew it would be the last visit of his life.
Oh, no.
Continuing that he was unable to stop working and that, quote, the dragon of dissatisfaction gnawed at him, which I thought was interesting. Months later, in June of 1861, the Great Fire of London burned. Victoria and Albert could see the light in the sky from the gardens of Buckingham Palace. The Tooley Street fire burned a quarter mile along the south bank of the Thames and created a 400-foot wall of flames.
Whoa.
It wasn't put out for 2 weeks, and miraculously only 6 people including the chief of the fire brigade, died.
Wow.
I'm like, I was baffled by that. I was
That's
like,
crazy.
it's only 6
And it
people.
went on for 2 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
So let's move on a bit to some Victorian slang. Have you ever heard the term fast woman?
Fast woman. I feel like if I had to guess, I feel like maybe I've heard it in some movie or something. I would say that it is a woman that gets around.
Yeah.
With the guys.
It's a promiscuous woman.
Promiscuous woman, yeah.
So Nellie Clifton was considered a fast woman. She was an actress, and she was one that smoked and mixed with and flirted with freely with unmarried men. Let me take that one more time. She was one who smoked and mixed with and flirted freely with unmarried men.
Ooh.
Some young women liked the term and called themselves fast. You know, they were like the young ones being like, I'm a fast woman.
Sure.
Victoria pointed out that the fast women she had met were definitely American.
Always.
Victoria and Albert's son Bertie had become infatuated with a fast woman, Nellie Clifton. And it was while he was at military camp in Curragh how do you say that? Curragh. I didn't Google this. Curragh, maybe?
I would imagine.
In Ireland.
Or Cara.
Yeah, he'd been sent up there because it's kind of like a punishment for not being smart. I don't even know.
You're not smart enough. Go to Ireland.
It was like 10 weeks of military camp. So he met her before at a party, and then she was up there too for some reason. So he was seeing her. Bertie also liked to put dates in his diary, and he wrote about the times he engaged with Nellie in code.
Oh.
So he wrote down like initials and then the dates.
Engaged, quote unquote.
Yes. The book speculates that it made sense he would take a detour from the straight and narrow. He sipped whiskey and smoked and chased women of questionable morals, but his parents had told him repeatedly that he wasn't the brightest or best.
Oh.
His father had said that he was unable to concentrate and described his mind as similar to, I love this quote, no more use than a pistol packed at the bottom of a trunk. These guys were creative, at least.
It's amazing. This makes me think of Winston Churchill and how, I don't know if you have ever read much of stuff by Winston Churchill, but that dude had a gift for insulting you and you didn't even know it. Because he was so smart. And the way that he would phrase it all together, you'd go, wait, what? And then you read it again and go, oh, that's a burn. That's like a
sick
big
burn, Winston.
You know? And I feel like this is the same thing. It has as much use as a loaded pistol at the bottom of a trunk. You're like,
Bottom of a trunk.
wait a second, but that means it's because I know how to get oh, yeah, no.
Wait a minute. So, despite the irony that the straight-laced Albert's son, wild and undisciplined Bertie, would have the title that Albert had wanted all along, king, he was the firstborn son, you know?
Yeah.
Bertie could have been a success by spreading cheer rather than order. He was actually popular. Eventually, he was the first of the royals to take a trip to America and Canada. So, like,
Whoa.
They were all like, you need to be smart. You need to study. You need to do well in your schooling. And he was like, just not, maybe he had ADD. I don't know what it was about him, but he was really charismatic and people liked him.
Yeah.
But they were like, you're not what we say you should be, and you're a disappointment. Unfortunately for Bertie, his dad heard about his interactions with Nellie Clifton from Stockmar, who'd read about it in a European newspaper.
Oh my gosh.
It gave Albert a sick physical reaction, stomach pains. The book aptly points out that Albert's psychological Achilles heel was sexual looseness. Ooh. His own family having been destroyed by infidelity and his own brother contracting syphilis. Despite the fact that most men of aristocratic descent had trysts at early ages, Albert wrote harshly to his son. All he could see was scandal and shame. He said, Bertie, I write to you with a heavy heart upon a subject that has caused me the greatest pain I have yet felt in this life.
Jeez, dude.
The discovery that you have sunk into vice and debauchery.
Okay. Come on, guy. Like,
yeah.
Talk about projecting your insecurities and issues onto other people. You're basically shaming this poor kid because he's found a girl that he likes, and they're shacking up a little bit. I mean, I get it. There's different times with different standards of society, but it just makes me, I don't know, I guess frustrated when that kind of stuff is brought up, where you're just like, dude, you are screwing this poor kid up.
So much judging.
Yeah.
So he went on to say that nothing could restore Bertie's innocence.
Oh, come on.
Victoria agreed and said, quote, "Oh, that boy, much as I pity him, I can never or shall never look at him without a shudder."
Oh,
So they were a little, I mean, that's the Victorian, morality that we think of, I think, of the time.
yeah, it makes sense for the time. It just doesn't make me happy about it,
Well, I mean, the solution to the scandal? Birdie needed to get hitched fast.
Okay.
Big sister Vicky had been searching for eligible princesses for him for months anyway.
Oh, but the girl he was shacking up with,
No.
she was a fast woman,
She was
so
a
she
fast
was no good.
actress. She was not,
Gotcha.
I mean, they barely let Harry marry Meghan Markle. Like, that was almost 200 years later.
Okay. By the way, I don't know if you've noticed this yet, but on Netflix, the show Suits is on there.
Oh, yeah, it's
which
been
is
on for
where
a couple
Meghan
months now.
Markle
Yeah.
came from.
Yeah, we watched maybe half the seasons.
I don't know what person working at Netflix hates Meghan Markle, but I don't know if you've noticed, if you ever go and hover onto it on Netflix, you know how like every time you go to a show or anything,
it gives a description.
It gives a description, and it gives just like a random image from the show.
Uh-huh.
Okay. The random image from Suits is Meghan Markle in her underwear coming on to one of the guys in the suits from the back. So you were literally looking at Meghan Markle's butt in underwear.
That's just tasteless.
Right? I was like, dude, don't get me wrong. I'm not like part of the situation or anything, but like somebody knew what they were doing, and that seems pretty mean.
They could have at least like picked a picture of where her face is making a weird face or something.
Whatever. Like, right, you can do something, but that's just like one of those where you're like, because at first I was like, dude, why is it like this seems out of place for Netflix, and that most of the time their thumbnail images or whatever aren't that racy. They're not like, here's somebody in a bikini, unless it's one of those like too hot to handle or something.
It was on regular network television. It wasn't on like HBO.
I think it was on like USA, but yeah, whatever. It was on just basic cable.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, and that's what made it so like,
I guess Nip Tuck was on that.
Yeah, but whatever. Either way, to me, like I saw, I was just like, okay, guys, like I get it that you're not the biggest fans of these people, but like that seems pretty.
I mean, I'm
petty.
surprised that like someone in the royal family stuff or like isn't like trying to get them to take that thumbnail down.
I don't know that anybody's. I'm sure somebody else has noticed it, but I remember it was a couple weeks ago I saw it and I was like, dude, why is there this one picture of like this person in a bikini? And then I looked it up and I was like, oh, that's Meghan Markle. That seems on purpose.
Well, poor Meghan Markle on that, but I don't know.
Anyway, sorry.
Okay, so Birdie needed to get hitched fast, and Vicky had found an eligible princess for him. It was Princess Alexandra of Denmark. She was recently 17, so I think he was like 19 or something. It was relatively okay.
Good.
She was beautiful and kind. Vicky arranged for them to meet at a German cathedral while sightseeing. I guess that's a date.
That was pretty cute.
Yeah. Vicky thought that Alex was perfect, and if Birdie wasn't into her, then he wouldn't be into anybody. Now, he liked her, but he wasn't in a rush to get married, just like his mother had been.
There you go.
So soon after this meeting with Alex, Albert went to go visit Birdie at Cambridge. So he was at school at Cambridge. Albert was suffering from insomnia, fretting over Birdie's future after this big scandal. It was in the papers, so that is, it's not great. After a long walk together, in which Birdie was remorseful about his affair with Nellie Clifton, Albert actually did forgive him.
Oh, good.
So they patched things up.
Despite his previous words, there is nothing you can do.
I know, there's nothing you can do. Now, we know that Albert has always been sickly. He was also a little bit lonely. He'd lost all of his confidants. Remember, Peel had died, Anson had died, and even Stockmar just had recently moved to Germany. So Victoria tried to fill in the gaps, but it was in the book that while they were matched spiritually and like morally, they weren't matched intellectually. So he wanted someone he could talk to on an intellectual level. And he lost all those people, and he became depressed and ultimately like kind of passive. Toward the end of 1861, he told Victoria, quote, "I do not cling to life. If I knew that those I love were well cared for, I should be quite ready to die tomorrow."
Gearing up.
When Albert returned to Windsor, he was suffering from nerve pain in his back and legs. He would feel freezing when it was warm outside. Like they said he was at a press conference or something, and it was like really warm, and he was wearing this like big fur coat, and he was shivering. Victoria said she'd never seen Albert so low. The American Civil War had recently started on April 19th of 1861, and the Union sent a naval blockade to prevent any goods, supplies, or weapons from going in or out of the Confederate South. In May, Victoria issued a proclamation of neutrality, forbidding anyone from the British Empire to join either side of the Civil War. I mean, this was kind of her thing. She didn't really want people to get involved. On November 8th, a British mail-carrying ship called the Trent was intercepted by the USS San Jacinto near Cuba. 2 Confederate diplomats heading to Europe were captured and taken on the Trent. So a British ship was carrying Confederates when they were told to be neutral, and the U.S. Ship found them and were like, Britain, you're helping Confederates go to Europe. So this was big. The North was mad, the South was mad, and President Lincoln didn't really want war over the matter. He didn't want the Brits to get involved in the Civil War, right? Yeah. That would just make it harder. The foreign secretary of the British ambassador in Washington wrote a series of strongly worded demands on November 29th. Victoria and Albert agreed that someone needed to draft a response. Despite the fact that Albert was so weak and could hardly write, Albert's diplomatic language gave the Lincoln administration a way out by indicating the British assumed that the San Jacinto acted without the Union's knowledge or approval. Like, he basically was like, we didn't know, you guys didn't know, like, this was not on purpose. It was not on purpose. We're sorry. I had them. It was kind of long and wordy.
That's fine.
I
like it.
Yeah. This was the last memo that Albert would ever write.
Oh, whoa.
The Confederate stowaways were released and war with America was avoided. 3 days later, only opiates could help Albert's pain. Albert would barely sleep and he would wander his bedroom, unable to get comfortable while in a sitting position.
Oh.
The book says that some have surmised that Dr. Clark decided to conceal the gravity of the situation from the royal family out of concern for them. But he was also plainly inept. I'm quoting the book. He was also plainly inept. Still quoting. He failed to call for further medical help, despite Lord Palmerston's request, and had a tendency to claim imminent recovery before a serious decline. Lord Clarendon remarked that the doctors there were not fit to attend a sick cat.
Also, correction to you, by the way, that is Sir Dr. Clark. Thank you very much.
Yes, it is.
This man was later knighted.
I don't give him that. He's just Dr.
Think that's
Clark.
Just like, as you keep telling me about him, the more that I keep thinking of, like, this guy was eventually
How
knighted.
Is he
this
still
guy was
around?
Eventually knighted. This guy was knighted.
How is he still around?
It's unbelievable.
At 3 a.m. on December 6th, so the memo was sent on November 29th.
Yeah.
At 3 a.m. on December 6th, Victoria wrote to check on Albert, and he didn't acknowledge her. She woke to check on Albert, and he didn't acknowledge her when she came in the room. He would seem mentally elsewhere and then would rally. The next day, he was incoherent and said things like, "I'm so silly," which is not an Albert thing to say. The doctors came and diagnosed him with gastric and bowel fever, which usually took about a month to resolve. Albert had already been sick for 2 weeks, so Victoria really only had to wait 2 more weeks until he was better, right? That said, Victoria was sad and missed her husband every day, and so she sat by him, tears dripping down her face, vowing to make him stop working so hard once he got better. On December 8th, Albert asked to be moved into a brighter room, then called the King's Room and now called the Blue Room. He drank tea, a little wine, he smiled, and he teared up while Alice played music for him. Victoria went to church but couldn't pay attention. Albert smacked her hand when she came back, and he called her Liebes Frauchen, dear wifey, and then fell asleep while she read to him.
Why did he smack her hand?
He just was like, Liebes Frauchen.
Oh, like, oh, hello, wifey.
Yeah.
Okay. It wasn't a bad smack.
No, it wasn't like, it was like a, yeah. A few days later, December 11th, he was fading in and out of clarity and proclaimed, "Let us pray to the Almighty, but not together." When Victoria left the room, he then told Alice that he was dying. The doctors told Victoria she should not be concerned. They fed him brandy to strengthen his pulse.
Yes.
They told her that sicker people than Albert had recovered. Victoria wrote that it was a time of awful anxiety, but still full of hope. Her last journal entry for many days said that the doctors assured her there is no reason to anticipate anything worse. On December 13th, Victoria went to bed and asked to be woken up every hour with updates. At 6 a.m. on the 14th, there was wonderful news. Mr. Brown, a royal doctor since the year that Victoria was crowned, said that there was grounds for hope that the crisis was over. Victoria went to see Albert later, and she was taken aback as, quote, let me just say, because the book really, this is her quote.
Yeah.
The room had the sad look of night watching, the candles burnt down to their sockets, of doctors looking anxious. I went in, and never can I forget how beautiful my darling looked, lying there with his face lit up by the rising sun, his eyes unusually bright, gazing as it were on unseen objects and taking no notice of me.
Oh.
No one had told Bertie of Albert's condition, and in an attempt to not upset him, they just made up. However, Alice sent a telegram to Bertie telling him that Papa was not well and to come at once. By the time he arrived, Albert didn't recognize his son. Jeez. This is interesting, Victoria's spiritual counselor, the Dean of Windsor, had told her to steel herself for a great trial. Soon after, Dr. Clark told Alice to grab Victoria. They told Victoria that all hope was gone. Alice, Bertie, and Helena were across from Victoria around the bed. Victoria's nephew, Prince Ernest, and his wife, Marie, 4 royal doctors, Albert's valet, his equerries, and some others were also there. A grave group of men of the royal household stood outside the room. I'm going to quote from the book here. Albert took 3 long, gentle breaths, and then it was over. Oh. Victoria stood, kissed his forehead, and presented his hand to her face. She cried out in a howl of anguish that chilled her children's hearts and echoed the castle's thick stone corridors. Oh, my dear darling. It was 10:45 p.m. What would become of Victoria now? She went to the nursery and brought Beatrice to her empty bed. Albert's nightclothes had been laid out next to her. Beatrice tenderly said, I'm gonna cry. Don't cry. Papa is gone on a visit to Grandmama.
Oh.
I'm oh, kids, they say the darndest things.
They do. That's so sweet.
Victoria did not allow an autopsy, and doctors disagreed on what killed Albert. Many assume he died of typhoid that poor drainage of Windsor could have exposed him to. Others said it could have been a perforated bowel. Some thought he had bowel cancer, a peptic ulcer, or gastronoma. A more recent theory put forth by Helen Rappaport was that it was Crohn's disease. Crohn's disease was not identified by the medical community until 1913. Victoria blamed Bertie's behavior.
Of course.
She believed that the stress he put on his father broke his father's heart.
Oh, man. What a thing to put on your kid. Yeah. Good Lord.
The next day, the bells tolled, preachers wrote sermons, sheets of black material were added to coats, dresses, arms, swords, buckles, fans, flags, and houses across London. Albert was mourned, and people realized what they'd lost in their foreign prince. Politicians began to worry about what would happen now that he was gone.
Yeah.
To quote Lord Clarendon, he said, "No other woman," this is a weird quote, it's a sign of the time. "No other woman has had the same public responsibility or the same motive for being absolutely guided by the superior mind of her husband."
Ooh.
This habit, or rather necessity, together with her intense love for him, which has increased rather than becoming weaker with the years, has so engrafted her on him that to lose him will be like parting with her heart and soul. Victoria said, "There is no one to call me Victoria now."
Oh.
Because everyone else has to call her Your Majesty and everything, and he was the one person.
Crazy.
The 9 children of Victoria and Albert dressed in black. They were forbidden to laugh or show any kind of enthusiasm for life. Victoria did not attend Albert's funeral. Remember, her mother didn't attend her father's funeral. She read the prepared funeral proclamation and edited the part that said, "Bless and preserve the Queen with long life, health, and happiness." She crossed out happiness with her black pen and replaced it with honor. Oh. Without Albert, she didn't believe she could be happy again.
Jeez.
Christmas was just days away and was not cheerful. Victoria carried around Albert's red handkerchief and gold watch, believing it was unfair that his watch could still tick when he was gone.
No.
She cried that losing her husband was like tearing flesh from her bones, and she signed everything as the broken-hearted widow.
Jeez, man.
And that is where we will leave it.
Oh.
So very sad for Victoria.
Very sad. She's like in the depths right now.
Oh yeah. I mean, she's not happy.
Poor girl. And it's, I mean, Albert's a complicated guy and everything like that.
Know,
but it's, hey, they were in love clearly, and
yeah.
she was devoted to him, and I can't help but feel emotional about that.
I feel pretty sad for her.
It is super sad.
And all their kids.
I know. I think honestly one of the worst is that she's like telling her son that he killed his own father. Like, that is brutal.
People do and say a lot of things when they're hurting. I mean, I'm not saying it's right.
I know, it's just I mean, that would have had to screw that kid up for the rest of his entire life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's some baggage you can't let go of for a long, 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 long time. Your own mom saying, yeah, you killed your dad with your actions.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, I can't even.
Yeah, so this has been an interesting episode because lots of stuff.
I feel like we covered a ton of ground too. We got through the American Civil War, or at least most of it, the start of it at the very least. When did Albert die?
It was 1861.
Okay, so beginning of the Civil War.
Yeah, it was like it was right then, because that was when they intercepted that boat. It was like right after the beginning of the Civil War.
Fun tidbit about the Civil War, the American Civil War, when it started. Did you know that the first battle of the American Civil War, everybody thought it was a joke. Nobody really believed that we as Americans were capable of doing what we did, which is the single largest casualty event in American history was the American Civil War. Over 1 million people died. So what happened during the first battle is that it was announced by the Union and the Confederacy that they were going to have a fight, and it was going to be at this specific place. I want to say it was Virginia. I can't remember. But as a result, literally, crowds formed to watch them fight. Up on the hill, you had like hundreds, if not thousands, of just spectators, because they literally thought that these dudes were going to show up and like yell at each other and maybe get into a fist fight or something. It'd be the end of it. And the battle was horrific. Like tons of people. There were bodies all over the field, and so yeah, there were all these people that were watching that, and it was like this instant of like, oh, this isn't a joke. This is really real. People are actually out here killing each other in the middle of a field. Like, isn't that a weird thought?
It is very weird, but it definitely isn't that weird here now in today's world. I definitely think that the exact same thing would happen.
I do too. Well, that was literally, as we were talking about this, I had that thought too. I was just like, man, I bet you if that happened today, if there was a civil war in America, we would all think it was a joke, and then we would show up just like that, and then it would be very real, you know?
Or people would be like live streaming it.
Well, that's just a gimme. We were at what was it, last weekend? I went to a Led Zeppelin cover show at Red Rocks. It was called Get the Lead Out. It was really, really good. And for the encore, of course, they play Stairway to Heaven, because you have to play Stairway to Heaven for the encore. And first of all, I'm just going to say, I know we have a lot of listeners. I hate to use the term boomer because I think it's kind of derogatory and just sort of like putting people down. I'm just going to say of the baby boomer generation, folks of that age, right? I'm going to tell all y'all out there, love you. You need to learn how to turn off your flash when you're filming something. Okay? We were trying to watch Stairway to Heaven. I have no issue if you want to pull out your phone and just film it for a second. Go ahead. It was to the point that me and Jamie were making shadow puppets with our hands in front of us because the amount of people behind us that were filming with their flashes on.
I don't know how people think that does anything. All it does is capture all the dust in the air, and your video is not as good.
And that's the thing, is they're just oblivious to it. They don't think about it because they're looking at their screen and they're looking at the performance.
At this point, Apple, literally just remove the flash from phones.
Right.
Is
I
there
hate
is
it.
there any time when Flash actually makes the picture or video better on a phone?
No.
When
the
it's
only
all
time Flash
digital
looks
and
better
it's
is when
able-
it's like these amazing external flashes.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. So it's time to just remove it. I
Yes.
want my flashlight. Please let me have my flashlight. But
But where I was going to go with this is that, so first of all you baby boomer generation people, please just turn off your flash when you're filming something at a concert. But the other one was those were the people that started live streaming. Okay, listen
I
to me
didn't know
now.
they knew how to live stream. I've never live streamed.
Listen to me now. They were live streaming a Led Zeppelin cover band. I'm not saying they weren't good. They were good, but
It's not Led
it's
Zeppelin.
not right. It's not Robert Plant, right? And
Yeah.
a hologram of John Bonham out here.
Did I tell you I got a plant and I named it Robert? It died though. If it doesn't
You
bark,
killed Robert Plant.
if it doesn't bark at me, it's not. I don't. It's bad.
But anyways, that was just a shocking one to me that I was just like, really, y'all? You can't just enjoy a cover band playing, Stairway to Heaven. You have to pull out your phone and live stream it to everybody. I don't understand.
Yeah, that's really goofy.
Put your phones away. Just enjoy the show. Enjoy the music. If you really wanted to listen to a recording of Stairway to Heaven, I got good news.
I mean, to be honest, I am definitely I haven't ever live streamed anything at all, let alone a concert. But I am guilty of taking photos and videos at concerts, and then it's like you never ever look at them.
Exactly, which is why I stopped doing it.
I mean, I need to stop doing. Also, we did go see Matchbox 20 in the spring, in January
told me about
or
that.
June, and it was great. But we also decided we never want to go to another concert again. It's like too
Except
loud.
for Steel Panther, obviously.
I mean, obviously Steel Panther. Steel Panther. Did I tell you that Aaron gave me a compilation record and put a Steel Panther song on it?
Yeah, and it was, I want to say it was one of their songs that has a dirtier title.
I mean, all of them are kind of, I don't know. But anyway, I thought it was funny. But yeah, no, we don't ever want to go. And if we do ever go, we need earplugs.
So Kat has been trying to sell me on these things that apparently they're not necessarily earplugs. They're just like sound reducers. Loop. There
Yeah.
you go. That's what it is. And we're not endorsed by Loop, by the way.
I just got some. Loop, if you want, though, we are happy to be endorsed by you.
Send us an email, thebiographerspodcast@gmail.com.
I mean, yeah. But just don't wear your loops while you're listening to us.
Yeah, right. Well, I don't know, unless we're just obnoxiously loud
I don't
for
know.
you.
I mean, you could also turn down the volume.
I did want to also, though, to all of our listeners, give one extra shout out. Earlier, we in a couple of our episodes, we have mentioned very, very briefly that I, on the side, do blacksmithing and very specifically bladesmithing. I make kitchen knives, chef's knives, is what I like to do.
Daniel can't do just one thing.
No, I have to do 50. It's ADHD. Ask anybody. It's just, you have to have
I
100
know.
hobbies.
I don't ever get past the thought stage, though. I mean, I think of things and I barely do them. So I'm doing this. So yay, Daniel, thank you for getting me to do this.
Well, but yeah, either ways, yes, I do have many, many hobbies, and I've been told that by many people, and I like it.
To be honest, you have more hobbies than anyone else I know.
I've been told this several times, and I'm okay with that because I just like keeping my mind busy.
I don't know
with
how
different
you
things.
have time to do. I sleep.
I sleep. I only do blacksmithing once a week, and then the other hobbies that I have will come and go. They'll come in phases and waves, so it's not like a constant. Blacksmithing has been one of the most consistent. But anyway, where I'm going with
Chicken
this.
smithing.
Chicken smithing. Dude, I'm getting done.
Oh, really?
They're so loud. They're getting so...
Well, they only live a couple years
annoying.
anyway. It may be the end of their chicken time.
No,
anyway.
they're still laying eggs, man. They're still going strong.
But how long does a chicken live? Like 4 or 5 years?
No, I mean, they can live that short, but you can have chickens that live 6 to 12 years.
Oh, okay. So, sorry, keep going.
So where I'm going with this, though,
Bladesmithing.
is that I was talking to my instructor, whose name is Akiva. And Akiva, for anybody out there that is interested, his Instagram is Metalworks by Meola, M-E-O-L-A. And just through having a conversation with him and him saying how much he liked the podcast, he basically said for any listener that wanted to go to his website, he would offer 10% off for any of his handmade custom chef's knives.
This just in. I did not know this.
This
Good job.
just in. So just wanted to throw that out there for anybody. If you are looking for a literally buy it for life chef's knife, that it'll be one of the greatest knives you will ever use in your entire existence, and you will wonder, Why have I not had a carbon steel knife before this? I would absolutely 150% recommend checking out Metalworks by Miola. He's on Instagram. I know he has his website as well. And if you use the code biographers at checkout on his site for any one of his knives, he'll give you 10% off towards that as well. Again, these are all custom handmade, literally from the ground up. I have watched him do this process from, hey, let me forge weld this billet together to shape the entire handle, because I'm just really talented at doing these things. So anyways, wanted to throw that out there before we wrapped her on up for today.
And fun fact, people used knives in the Victorian times.
This is what am I looking for?
And smoked tobacco pipes.
What am I thinking of? It's like a full circle. You really brought it home there.
I mean, obviously. I mean, really though, it's coming up on the holiday season, and you know, people should give experiences and not things a lot of the time. But a knife and a pipe, those are also an experience.
I do agree, and I would also imagine there are many, many folks out there in their lives that know somebody that enjoys one of those forms of pipe smoking as well, whether it be pipe tobacco, vaping, or the good old Mary Jane. But again, that is going to be McQueenPipes.com. Use the code biographers to get 15% off your entire purchase.
Pipes.com.
Beyond that, though, Obs, I need to start calling you Boss Lady, by the way. I've told you that's your name in my phone, right?
I know, but like you're the boss of this podcast.
Boss Lady McCarthy.
He's like dragging me along. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. I mean, I guess I've been so type A for so long. I just like the letter fell apart. I'm just like a pile of lines on the ground right now.
Yeah, I think you're doing great.
It's okay. You're the one. Are we gonna read the Charge of the Light Brigade? Do you want to read it, or you want me to read it?
You can read it if you want. I mean, unless you want me to read it.
Should I read it with a British accent? No, I can't do that. It would be bad. Okay, I can read it. Are we done?
I mean, I think so. I'm sure after it's done, we'll do a little close up real quick. Yeah. But yeah, let's go.
Sure. Okay, Charge of the Light Brigade, Alfred Lord Tennyson. Half a league onward, all in the valley of death rode the 600. Why are you shaking your head?
Because you're reading it like it's a kindergartner that's reading a children's book quietly to a crowd. You need onward. I
mean, this is why I said, do you want to read it?
Man.
I'm not good at reading it. It's a sad poem.
This is I need passionate Aubrey right now.
Half a league onward and into the valley of death rode the 600. Forward, the Light Brigade. Charge for the guns, he said. Into the valley of death rode the 600. Forward, the Light Brigade. Was there a man dismayed? Not though the soldier knew someone had blundered. See, there's that part.
There it is.
There's not to make reply, there's not to reason why. There's but to do and die. Into the valley of death rode the 600. That line about the not to reason why, that's the part I remember from when I was young. Mm-hmm. This is not a clean reading, folks. Cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left of them, cannon in front of them, volleyed and thundered, stormed at with shot and shell. Boldly they rode, and well, into the jaws of death, into the mouth of hell, rode the 600. Flashed all their sabers bare, flashed as they into the air. Shoot, there's a line, I messed that up. Flashed as they turned in the air. It's hard. Sabering the gunners there. You know, they brought a knife to a gunfight. Charging an army while all the world wondered. Plunged in the battery smoke, right through the line they broke. Cossack and Russian reeled from the saber stroke, shattered and sundered. They rode back, but not the 600. Cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left of them. I feel like that sounds like a pop song now. Cannon behind them, volleyed and thundered, stormed at with shot and shell. While horse and hero fell, breaks my heart. That they that had fought so well came through the jaws of death, back from the mouth of hell, all that was left of them, left of 600. When can their glory fade? Oh, the wild charge they made. All the world wondered. Honor the charge they made. Honor the Light Brigade. Noble 600. It's very sad.
That's very sad. I remember I was watching this episode of, I think it was Grand Tour, the guys that used to do Top Gear.
Yeah, Top Gear. I remember
and
that.
They visited the actual battlefield where the Charge of the Light Brigade happened. And it was one of the first times, but it was one of the first times I had heard of Charge of the Light Brigade in a long time. It was like they said it. I went, oh, yeah.
Well, that's what this was. It was like, oh, yeah.
But I remember they're looking at the battlefield, and I think it's Jeremy Clarkson that says it was theirs not to question why or to reason why or whatever it is, but to do or die. And I was just like, oh, man. And looking at the field was just like, holy cow. Could you imagine? I don't know. That whole scene is super, super intense.
Oh,
but I feel like when you read that line about men and horses falling, I feel like the saddest part for you was the horses.
I mean, obviously. I mean, you know the things about like watching a movie and it's like people die, like whatever, animal dies, you're sad. I mean, the whole John Wick franchise is based on this.
I know. It is. I don't know what it is inside of us human beings when we see an animal die on screen.
Well, it's because a human can help themselves in many cases, and an animal is helpless. Well, unless it's like a lion or something.
But even that, it's like there are times you'll see somebody shoot a lion out of nowhere, and you're like, dude, go away.
I know.
Like, come on, what that guy do? He was just chilling, you know?
I know.
It's sort of like that friggin' what's the name? That Trump kid that like went and just shot an elephant out of nowhere and just like holding up his tusks back in the day. I was like, great, dude, that must be great. Anyways, we don't need to end with that crap.
No. Something happy. I don't even know, but it was good.
Something happy, I will say, is really just thanks to all of our listeners out there. If you didn't know this, our numbers have been going up a lot in streaming over the past few weeks, and it has been very much due to all of you listening to us.
Very motivational, and we're grateful for it. Super grateful.
Yeah, in just under 4 months, we're about to hit 2,000 streams, which is pretty insane from what I understand in the world of podcasting. It's not like a, anomaly, but it's pretty rare from what I understand. And again, that is all due to you lovely people out there that are encouraging us and supporting us and listening to us. I personally cannot tell you how much it means to me, and it just gives me a lot of energy and jazz to keep on going because I really do love doing this. So I just wanted to say thanks to all you guys out there for listening, and hopefully this is good enough to keep on listening.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you all.
All right. So I'd imagine that's going to do it for us. But like always, I'll say if anybody has any questions, comments, or corrections, go ahead and send us an email, thebiographerspodcast@gmail.com. You can check us out on our website at thebiographerspodcast.com. But we're also on places like TikTok now and on the gram. And, we're around. So, come find us. Come hang out with us. And I guess we will see you next time.
Come play with us.
Oh, gosh.
I couldn't not say that.
Forever and ever. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to The Biographers. For more information, please visit thebiographerspodcast.com.